Hello, everybody. You can basically hear my computer's CPU fan from the mic. It's kind of crazy. But you know what? That's how I keep cold. That's how I keep warm in the winter. Who else? Who else is with me? Computers to keep you warm. Hello and welcome. Hello. How's everybody doing today? We're gonna talk some monthly report stuff today. We're gonna look at Star Citizen development in the month of September. But first, a mighty welcome. Frenchy Chad, Trident Tactical. And of course, the Punji with the toes. EQNX, you out at the show right now? Before the big day tomorrow? CitizenCon. Some of you may be watching this after CitizenCon. Bless you. You guys made it. For everybody else who is here live, we got one more day to go. And I think it's going to be a pretty cool stream tomorrow. Hope you decide to come to the live coverage. I'll be giving away a few ships, a hover quad, a nomad with the game included. We'll be finishing up the current giveaway going on Twitch right now, the Aurora MR with the game included. And I will be doing a little special after party thingy with some of the other content creators with Atmo Esports and with some of the CIG devs. So it should be a good day. Nice 6 hours of pure Star Citizen. And of course, we're going to lead right up to that with, like I said, this monthly report from September. Some pretty interesting highlights in here, guys. I think it's going to be a good couple of hours reading through this thing. But it is a Friday stream. Usually we're playing a cool game. We're doing something different. Not doing that this week because we got a lot of prep to do for tomorrow. But I don't know what I want to play. I kind of want to go back to Satisfactory or maybe some Hard Space. But next week, that'll be next Friday. For today, it's just going to be a nice short talk, a chill one. Kick back. Enjoy your morning. We're going to talk about features and ships, and promise I'll be taking questions all throughout. You live in Trinidad, so you don't got to worry about winter, Jedi? Do you at least get like lower humidity or something? Is there no difference? Dan Little, good to see you. Hello, Zach of the Worlds. Zach Other Worlds. Sorry about that. Good morning. Good morning. And Ken, what's up, my man? You got the Vulture with the green goblin paint? Yo, are they selling the Vulture already? I completely missed that. Still curious as to what will come tomorrow. I think it's going to be a good day for gameplay. That much I think we can depend on. Well, okay. Good day for gameplay in the conceptual aspect. Obviously, we are still waiting for it to hit us in the faces. DV, hello. Good morning from California. Good morning out to California. I'm going to be out there in about 2 months. We'll be heading back to California for the holidays. It's actually kind of funny. We're planning on moving back permanently this year. And I feel like we say that every couple of times, like a couple times every year. But every time, the prices just keep going up. And we're still waiting until we can get back over there. So we're just going to go back for a couple months and then we'll be right back here in January. But look forward to some more of that California weather, especially in the winter. Personally, I love the overcast weather that we get out there. Granted, it is overcast here right now. You need something better than coffee. Strike up a joint, my friend. Or some tomato juice. I hear that's not bad in the morning. NB Production, how you doing? Good to see you. What up from Northwest Florida? Getting real specific with it, Spiffy. I like it. I like it. Northwest, you on the panhandle? Were you able to miss most of that hurricane that swept through the other week? Gets to minus 50 Celsius where you live. Oh no. Can I get my man Jedi from Trinidad switching it up with Frenchie? Let's go from no winter to minus 50, see how that works out. You got a nice sea breeze all year round, but it's cooler than the second half of the year because it's a rainy season. That's kind of how it is here. So like we're on the Black Sea, and while we get a lot of the humidity and moisture that comes up from the Mediterranean Sea, like for those of you who don't know, Turkey is bordering two different seas. So you got the Black Sea up here, the Mediterranean Sea over here, and they kind of, everything inland kind of gets smushed together with that. So we're on a mountain coast, right on the coast of, well, we're on the mountain range, that's it. We're on a mountain range right on the coast of the Black Sea. So a lot of the moisture that comes from the Mediterranean gets caught up right above us And then a lot of the cold air that comes down from like Russia, Ukraine area, just like dumps a lot of coldness here. So we get snow, we get huge tropic depression kind of things, like massive storms. It's pretty wild. Weather here is cool. Vultures on the pledge store. You like tea? I like tea. I didn't like tea before I came here, but you can't really move to Turkey and not like tea. You're not switching with his weather. I don't blame you. No Ian for you up in the panhandle, but pretty used to having to specify Northwest Florida here since, yeah, most people are going to be like, oh, Disney World, huh? Oh, you live in Universal, I hear. Wow, are you on the Miami beaches? I'm getting a little thing that says Venus got us started on the sub goal, but it didn't pop up on my notifications. That must be a Twitch glitch. Thank you so much for that, though. I appreciate you. Been a while since I watched, so here you go. Well, thanks. Thanks. I hope you stick around for this one. It's going to be an interesting one. This is I've already read through and got my script written for my monthly report video. Probably won't come out until late next week at the earliest, but it is a good time. We've got some interesting stuff to look into, guys. They're going hard on AI. Let me tell you, the AI section of these monthly reports this year have been pretty interesting. Most of it obviously is just going into Squadron 42 and we're not really seeing it, partially because they don't need to do it for the MMO at this point. That's not the priority, as much as it pains me to say. And because we've got the network problems that don't let us experience good AI anyways. Venus, CitizenCon starts tomorrow, about 26 hours from now. No, 25 hours from now. So I will be going live 1 hour than right now tomorrow. So that would be 1 p.m. UTC tomorrow. The actual event doesn't start until 3 p.m. UTC, which is in about 1 hour and 48 minutes. But tomorrow. So 25 hours and 48 minutes. You know how time works. You told me to watch the AI. It's going to get epic if they fix server meshing. Yeah, we will see. Oh God. I was out there feeding my dog right before the stream and she got so overhyped and like smashed her skull into my face. I swear I'm gonna get like a nice bruise right here on right in between my eye and my nose. Hurts. Dogs be wild. I hope meshing allows the AI to perform well. I don't know what else will help, and if it doesn't, rip. A big ol' rip. Yeah. There's a lot. They're really setting up expectations for the AI with all this AI work going in that we're about to read about and that we have been reading about, and then combining that with the fact that we're not getting the gradual introduction to AI. We're not getting to see all of these things added piecemeal over the years. They're kind of just adding things, but we never get to experience it. So I'm wondering if at some point we're going to go from having like just barely functional AI to something magnificent, or if we're just delayed and we're going to see it slowly build up over time. I hope it's the former, but we've not really seen anything work like that yet in the development, except for maybe the derelicts this year. So I'll be interested in that. The AI sounds very exciting, but I don't believe it till I see it. And I think the two biggest things that applies to are the AI and the economy systems. Witch Space, how you doing, my friend? Good to see you in here. I always enjoy seeing you come in here. I know you understand a lot of the stuff in these monthly reports more than I do. Hope you've been having a good one, man. You should change your Twitch name. It's a pun in Spanish, and it usually is difficult to pronounce. I figured I'm probably not pronouncing it right. Venusefue? That was very... Why couldn't I do that? It's like my teeth replaced my lips. That doesn't make sense. Still got 2 hours till you're in Columbus, but you're driving through the middle of nowhere, so nothing to see. Ah, are you in Ohio? I was just talking about that on Wednesday. On Wednesday, I was like, yeah, driving through Ohio was peaceful. You accidentally stayed up past midnight and got to catch the stream live for the first time. I love it when people do that. I love it when you end up in some weird situation where you end up on the stream and we get to say, what's up? Happy to have you here. Thank you for joining. Thanks for staying up a little bit too late. I know how that is. Hopefully I can make it a little entertaining for you. Has anyone checked out Star Atlas lately? I've seen the rumors. I've seen the murmurs, the whispers and the murmurs. Star They have not looked great. I mean, the whispers and murmurs, I don't know how the game has looked, but I'm not even going to get into that right now. We will avoid that topic. That's just going to go so far out of left field. And we've got a monthly report to get to. Am I going to be streaming the entire event? You bet your ass I will be, Cotton. Sorry, excuse me. I will absolutely be streaming the entire event, and I will throw in a couple quips and some statements here and there. Probably give my thoughts. I don't even know when I'm going to give my thoughts because I'm jumping straight into that after party afterwards. We'll have to see, but we will be talking about it regularly for the next week or so. I'll be putting out videos. I'll be reviewing it on stream, all that jazz. So even if you don't catch the event tomorrow, which you can by typing in !CitCon, as in citizen, not sit down. !CitCon will pull up the command or the link, and you can actually set yourself a little notification that'll let you know when I'm going live with my own stream. You'll be very surprised if they don't announce a concept for a medical salvage ship, medium salvage ship for CitCon or IAE. I think either a medium salvage ship would be interesting. I guess they probably will do a concept tomorrow. I wasn't thinking that they would, but it makes sense at this point. You hyped for tomorrow? So am I. I know a lot of people aren't too pumped for tomorrow because for some reason there's this pervasive belief that CitizenCon is based on Pyro when it's just probably a 30-minute segment that's based on Pyro. So I think a lot of people are understating the significance of some of the systems we're going to see tomorrow. Things like the speed changes, the new mission type, and it's plugged in. The new mission type and the resource management stuff. Those are going to be big. Those are going to be big changes to the game, and if they're actually coming in 4.0, we should be able to expect them within the next year. Well, okay, I'll scratch that. We should hope that we'll see them in the next year. You haven't watched one in 3 years? Got into it again a couple of months ago? Nice. Yeah, that's gonna be cool. That's a good time to come back to. At least to watch, maybe not to play. Lorville Redux is gonna be cool too. Tree, how you doing? Good to see you. I was just catching up on Paul's stream. I saw you in there. CitCon watch party. We're also hosting one in GII if you'd like. Vinu, if you want to hop in there. I see you were one of the OGs. Looking forward to the speed change talk. Show me what Montreal can do with cities and the tools they're building. Yeah, they actually mentioned something about that here, which I was very interested in hearing. It'll be nice to... We're going to get to that part. That's in the tools section towards the end. This will be your first CitizenCon. Is there anything to sign up for or just watch? I'm excited to see it. Thanks for the update stream. So there's going to be a few things. Obviously, a lot of people are hosting their own streams. I am hosting one myself. I will be giving away ships on my channel. Specifically, it'll be easy to get points for those ships on Twitch. So I would suggest, even if you're watching on YouTube, just have the Twitch stream open so you can continue to get some points towards that giveaway. I'll be giving away a Nomad with the game included, a hover quad. I'll be finishing my Aurora MR giveaway, which is going on right now, and I'll be announcing the winner of my Aegis Saber giveaway, which is going on Gleam. Gleam! You can find that on my website, spacetomatogaming.com, if you'd like to get in on that. More importantly, give some insight into how resource management impacts the quantum economy. Yeah, that would be cool. That'd be real nice. While we're at it, just throw in some crafting. That's my Christmas list. Marsupilami, how you doing? 07s and Joe, good day to you. You know, I keep calling you Joe. I am right about that, right? I'm not misremembering that. Once Lorville Redux happens, hopefully expanding ArcCorp locations isn't far behind. ArcCorp's got a lot it needs to have done to it. As a person interested in the game, Trix, and never played it, is it worth jumping into? Ooh, right now? It really depends on where you're coming from, Trix. If there are some people who would really benefit from jumping in right now who are interested in just seeing a space game get built, but for the most part, it's a very frustrating game to play. because it may be fun for your first few weeks or your first couple of months, but after a while, because we still haven't started to see a very significant increase in the way the actual game changes, the way that it plays, you might start to feel a little bored after a while. And with the glitches and the drama, I will say there's drama in the community. It could be more than people really need right now. I would say though, like you've been suggested in the chat, check out a free fly event. There very well could be one right after CitizenCon starting tomorrow. There will be one in November. So you have the chance to download it, play it for free for a week, see how it feels, without any sort of buy-in, no sort of investment into the experience whatsoever. And then whenever you are ready, $45 is all you need. But I would suggest, yeah, go in with the free fly first. Even though free fly events generally tend to be a little bit less stable because so many people are trying the game out. It's really a mixed bag, the experience right now. Will I cover Cyberpunk's DLC when it releases? I don't know. I don't know if I'm going back to that game. I guess I'll probably play it on a Friday streams. Might do maybe a short video on the second channel about it, but I don't know. There's Mrs. Tomato in the chat with the fishes. You're always honest with your friends about the issues in the game. Tell them to wait for a free week to give it a try before dropping any money down for the game. Yeah, I think everybody should dose everyone that's getting into this with a healthy dollop of salt. Or salt. Skepticism, not salt. Just get them started off on the wrong foot. What's my thought on the ship updates? Think we'll be getting the capital ships anytime soon like the Orion? Well, we will see that in the monthly report if they have something to say about it. Why don't we, though, go ahead and get started? Mrs. Tomato has programmed in sound effects that can be triggered by chat now into the stream for whenever you guys really want to express your emotions. We're giving it a test run today, so I can get a good idea of how it actually feels and runs, and we can see if maybe we want to limit them at all. But there is, I guess, something. There it is. Oh man, we're definitely gonna have to limit that one. Oh my god. Yeah, see, that's already, it's already, nope. They're not limited, and that's a problem. So we're gonna slowly work those into the stream. Just testing them for now, and we're gonna see how they work, but they'll give you a little bit better chance to good lord. Okay, that's a no. Yeah, they should have a timer on them. Wow. Oh, you guys. All right, let's get started with this. Wow. And see what else there. You can't say wow unless there's something to actually wow about, especially if you're using Owen Wilson's voice. Come on, don't abuse him. You have tons of sounds in your stream. You think it's great, but you don't have 80 plus people in chat. Yeah, wow. We'll have to see how that goes. That's the. I hope that YouTube allows this kind of stuff soon, but that's gonna be a Twitch thing for now. All right, let's start with AI. Yeah. Let's go. Last month, the AI features team continued to develop the traits that allow the specialization of NPC behaviors in specific levels and scenarios. This included implementing the Sentry trait, which forces characters to use defensive tactics and to never leave cover unless compromised. This will be particularly useful for NPCs equipped with the sniper rifles and rocket launchers of the verse. The Reckless trait is the opposite, forcing a character to only adopt aggressive tactics and never use cover options. This will be utilized by close combat berserker enemy types. There are also aggressive and cautious traits that adopt varying weights of cover use. These are pretty standard for video games, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong, but generally a lot of the open world type games that you would play nowadays have different sort of AI types. Some of them will run at you, some of them will be very cautious, some of them will have snipers, some of them will have certain weapons. Nothing super groundbreaking, but it is interesting to get some of the background of this. Here is a couple of tests they've run with these AI sort of systems in the past. I imagine this was using either Previs or not using Previs, but these were Previs or either maybe a different earlier system or just a concept. But this is kind of the idea that you get. So on the left side is a civilian who has some training, on the right side being somebody who's very nervous, as you can see from his feet did a little dance there. And eventually what they do is they replace these two guys, who I assume are civilians or maybe recruits. I don't know. They have UAE shirts on, red shirts, I guess. They replace them with actual military, and you can see that these guys are a little bit more trained, a little more snappy in their movements, and a little more confident in what they're doing. So this is just an example of these traits that they're mentioning and how they might affect different enemies that you're fighting. Obviously, I think we're all aware that this is referring to Squadron 42, but eventually in the PU. We need that "Thank You, My Child" StarCraft clip. We've got a couple of StarCraft ones in there. More minerals required and all that jazz. All right, they also implemented usables that allow context-specific search animations to be played around certain level features. For example, vents or railings and around crates. This adds life to NPC investigations and gives them more opportunity to use the environment to search, along with increasing the tension for hunted players. Basically just making their search actions more than just walking around in the room saying, "I'm gonna find you. Can't hide for long." It's over and over. Just horrible, horrible memories of terrible stealth games in the past. You'd love to see a simulated battle between two AI squads. We've got these guys ganging up on a... Oh, that's an unarmed civilian. Never mind. That doesn't quite count, does it? I actually don't know if I have... I don't think they've shown us anything like that yet. You'd be more interested into joining as you liked No Man's Sky, but it got boring. You like the community aspect of SC as you want to do space stuff with online friends. No Man's Sky lacks a good MMO aspect. Yeah, this game will definitely... That's the one thing you can absolutely count on for this game, is that you're gonna have more fun in groups, and there are plenty of groups to find. I have my own organization. If you would like to join it, we have activity ongoing and are always trying to encourage people to get into some events and do some mining or some activities with us throughout the week. You can go to gii.app, or you can type an !org in chat. That'll send you to our website, and it's a super quick sign up process. We have members from all over the world. We're in multiple time zones. We support people sharing their fleets. We have little roles that you can be signed up for that show what you do in the org or what kind of stuff you like to do in the game. It's a very nice little app made by Lord Skippy and the crew, and it will continue to grow and hopefully help you play along with our group. So if you're interested in a group, you can always join ours, or if you want to do other types of things, there are plenty of organizations out there in this game that'll give you something to do. I think somebody just subbed. Vivi Jr., 20 months now. Oh, hi there, friend. Welcome to the stream today. Thank you so much for continuing that that sub. Appreciate you. Can't wait to count out your coin. That's because No Man's Sky was built as a single player game. Kind of was, huh? You don't play Star Citizen, you just like looking? I get it. I totally get that. I spend more time looking than playing right now too. Frenchie, thank you for resubbing. 2 months on. Yo, I see you. Remember the other day when you and Baguette were both up in here at the same time, throwing all the French vibes? Appreciate you being around. Hello. Hope you're having a good day. All right, moving on. Perception work continued as well. The team supported the stealth gameplay loop by allowing the player to wear specific clothing to disguise themselves in different environments. The designers can configure which clothing works for each faction and location so that a successful disguise combines both player actions and the configuration of the NPCs in the environment. The perception meter for detecting the player as a foe is then influenced by this parameter, giving the player more time to sneak into areas, especially when at a distance from enemies. So, where are my Hitman players at? Right? This is peak Hitman. I mean, there are some stuff that is more Splinter Cell in these stealth things, but this is full on Hitman stuff. And we've actually seen, let's say, Mlem. Do I really have to type in the whole thing to get the official panel? Come on. All right, moving on. We've actually seen this, and many people have been saying, hey, where the heck is this? You guys showed this off. You made us think this was going to be a thing. It's clearly not a thing, so why can't we do it? And if you go back to CitizenCon 2019, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. This mission they were running, where they basically, hold on. So they took the disguise of a scientist at this outpost, and you can hear him talking about this now. Because Chris loves to talk about things that aren't in the game yet.
You're blending in.
So the idea was they were showing off that you could get a disguise and blend into the area, but as you can see in this, guaranteed the AI wouldn't have detected you anyways. They're all scripted. There's no perception. There's no UI or UX that even shows you you're being perceived. This wasn't actually happening in the game, as they did with CitizenCon quite a bit. But this showed the concept of what they wanted these missions to play out as 3 years ago in 2019. We're finally starting to see that being developed on the AI side here in the monthly report. So something that is coming along, and they have made sure to specify that this depends on where you are and what you're wearing. So you can't just like wear a doctor's uniform and then sneak into the Xenothreat base and be like, hi, I'm the doctor. Don't shoot me. That won't work. Don't do it. Been a while since you caught one of my streams. Wanted to say that you still love the content, both your own videos and discussion content. You might be the best panel moderator on SC. You know, thank you. In Revenant, I love some panels. I really do. The talk shows and stuff is good fun. I have been having a blast with the different podcast formats we've been doing, and me and Mrs. Tomato have been enjoying rolling out these new ideas and seeing other people enjoy them as well. That's been a lot of fun. Thank you for the feedback on this stuff. We're watching because we don't want to do search information. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to gather it all up and show you the goods. You do think SC is good for semi-casual players even now if you haven't been playing when everything is new and fresh? I think if you drop in like a few times every year, then you're gonna have a good time. But if you try to play every week, it can start to get a little old at times. Yeah, Tricks. Now to don a cocktail dress and infiltrate a high-end party to hack into Hurston's personal computer. Yo, I'm trying to get a disguise and go aboard a 890 jump. I'm thinking maybe like a nudist cruise through Pyro on an 890 jump. It's like high octane, high octane nudist cruise. Can't wait to jump into game and try it out myself. I mean, we're getting investigation missions and we're getting perception meters at the same time, so maybe. Last CitizenCon 2, they showed the same. Oh yeah, they did show the you're right, the what's it called? Getting a disguise and then walking through that outpost. Absolutely. Good call. At least this mission is in the game now. Oh, wait a second. They never are. Except for the 2018 one. Was that 2018? 2017? 2018. Okay. Moving on, to support the scaling of perception ranges and times, new wild lines were integrated to signal this new gameplay. For example, a suspicious enemy will challenge the player if their disguise or behavior isn't convincing. Hey dude, why do you have a construction helmet on in the kitchen? He's a bad guy, he's got a gun! That's how you get caught. They're going hard on AI, gotta say. They're very, very intense with the AI features. You read all the posts, watch all the SC content, and then watch all the tomato content anyways because it's just so good. Nate, I appreciate that. I'm as addicted as you are. That's why we get each other. You love the fact they don't want to make S42 harder by making bigger swarms of baddies. Yeah, that's nice. The whole firing tokens thing, it's very cool. You just did recent searches for SC and enjoyed my content and presentation more. Have learned the beginner information through your beginner vids, so thanks, keep up the good work. Thank you, Trix. And thanks for subscribing to the channel. Hope you like the content that continues to flow. It's going nowhere. All right. What must have been the wind, Shifty? What wind are you referring to? Let's see. Just to finish the AI features off on the animation side, AI features progressed with human female combat animations. Okay, cool. All right, AI tech last month. The AI tech team extended the functionality of navigation links, which involved finishing their work on ladder extenders. Now NPCs are able to use and traverse ladders in similar ways to players. I wonder if that includes the advancements they were talking about for players as well. Right now, if you're using a ladder, you can't use any items, you can't shoot your gun, you can't look around, you can't do any of this stuff. But they have mentioned that they've been working on that in these monthly reports. So I wonder if this is bringing NPCs up to that same standard. Oh, a Skyrim reference. Oh, suspicious NPC lines. Okay, I got you. The only Skyrim lines I remember are, "You shouldn't have come here," which is always so funny to me because then they immediately die afterward. It's like, yeah, probably shouldn't have. Sorry. Or the infamous, "I used to be an adventurer like you till I took an arrow to the knee," something like that. Yep, arrow to knee. NPC got shot in the head by an arrow, survived, and is now searching for the shooter. Must have been the wind. Ah! Those damn squirrels. Best lines were from New Vegas. Hey, there's the high roller. New Vegas was such an amazing game. I don't remember it very much because I didn't actually play it that much. But from what I played and what I watched afterward, pretty great game. Well done. Well done. Okay. Let's see, NPCs also got the navigation links extended to allow them to use the full width of doors. Wow! And enable collision avoidance while traversing. This, my friends, was another thing that they programmed into a demo that we got that was kind of meant to show this functionality off, even though it wasn't really working yet. Casual, you know. This is how the demos were. You can see it happening right here. When the person walks towards you in the door, you can see they both kind of snap into a navigation link and go through the door. Right there, that guy did it. Went to the right, those people are going to the left. So I think that's kind of what they're talking about. And even now you can tell they're not using the full width of the door. So something like this, but to make it a little bit wider. Very jarring animation there. Just an example. They also were allowed to interact with closed doors. The aim was to have AI correctly understand which door panels should be interacted with during traversal. To achieve this, the routing functionality inside the usable system was improved to use entity links. All of this sounds like it's very linked to combat and stealth scenarios with AI. Blake C, what's up? Are you familiar that "but took an arrow to the knee" was a phrase used to describe "but I fell in love with someone and got married" as an excuse to why someone might have changed their life? I did not know that. Oh, these are romantic Skyrim NPCs. How cute. Such, I took an arrow to the knee. Shucks. Ah, shucks. All right, for locomotion, they worked on reducing foot sliding and leg phase blending, something I try to get rid of when I go to the gym. This involved reducing foot sliding during stop animations by matching the leg phase, adding support for selecting the best animation option based on the leg phase, and extended the system to implement the use of sharp turns for walking. Getting that sass. Like, let's program that sassy walk in, just to make sure they've got it. We could give cuddles and kisses at two inside the same door frame. Oh, get nice and close, but leave space for Jesus. That's what they told me in primary school. Arrow to the knee as in bend down and propose. Joke's on them. I was down on both knees. I took 2 arrows to the knees. Extra dramatic. I can see how that might be taken as a innuendo. Don't do that. Please. On the internal subsumption editor, the team addressed usability feedback from the designers and bug fixing continued. They also began extending the tool to manage the editing of master graphs, which has never been possible in the external tool. So this is another example of a tool, and this is not the last example in this report. We'll be hearing more about more tools because tools. We love them. But this is an example of a tool internal to CIG that they are using to build the rest of the game. When they talk about building the game engine, it's like building the scaffolding around the building before building the scaffold, or before building the building. Gosh, it's a lot of building. So if you imagine the game engine is the scaffolding, you kind of have to make sure that's stable before the building can really start to pick up speed, right? And every time we read about these tools which are making progress and getting integrated into more of the company, that's another significant part of that scaffolding being built to support the game's development. And this specific tool is a very important one. This is going to drive how we interact with the AI and how they interact with us. All of these things that we're reading about in AI features and tech are driven by subsumption. It looks kind of like this. It's obviously very common. Like, this is just how AI works. I don't know if this is exactly how it works for all game companies or if this is how they display it. This is how it is in CIG's little universe. And as you can see, it starts with a task. It says, okay, you can get into the vehicle. Maybe you need to wait for something else. Once you get into the vehicle, here's that wait event. That fails, you do something else. It succeeds, you loop until something else. You know, it's kind of like those if-then statements kind of thing. Yeah, it's a flow graph. But this is just an example of how this looks from a long time ago. This is in 2018, so clearly it's much more developed than this. But every time you read about subsumption, just remember this. It's kind of what they're referring to. CIG is a tool developer, not a game developer. Hey, you know what? If they can develop all the tools but never the game, at least they could give the tools to somebody else who can make the game, right? Come on, somebody's got to do it. Am I a programmer? No, I tried. I really did. But I couldn't. I started learning how to program the same time I started learning how to make videos, and I realized that I was better at making videos, so I just kind of stuck with that. Someday maybe I'll do programming, but I'm not great at languages, to be honest. I just have been following this game's development for a long time, and so I've kind of started to learn some of it just watching this stuff, and I could be wrong about a lot of it. Just a little caveat there. I'm not a game programmer, not a programmer at all, not a game developer. I have no experience in this other than my intro to computer science class, but what I read is basically backed up by previous stuff they've said. So that's as good as I can give. Hey, Jaybird. It's the same thing in Unreal with blueprints. Okay. You'd given up on old statements that for every game package you own, you could have an AI character. I think you'll still have to hire that AI character. Or are you talking about agent smithing? That whole thing? Kind of like tabletop puzzles where you fit the pieces, only that in programming you often have to make your own pieces from scratch. Yeah, I'm more of a visual person. The syntax is the hard part. Like, it's the same thing with languages for me. I have trouble with repetitive learning to get something. Might be just how my brain is, but if I have to continuously go over something too many times in order to learn it, I'm not great at it. I was terrible when it came to like differential equations or mathematical series or anything that required a lot of repetitious learning. It was terrible. God, that was the worst 3 years of my life, were those higher math classes. Thanks, Smugs. I'm glad the stream can be a source of entertainment and information. I hope entertainment. Maybe I'm just lame. Yeah, they haven't mentioned agent smithing in years. I wonder if that's still a thing. All right. Let's get back to it. I hate this song. Let's not get back to it. Let's skip this song. Okay, now we can get back to it. Cool. Just start that. Okay. Where were we? Oh, I scrolled up. That I did. We were talking about subsumption. Here we go. Work also was done to extend two different areas of AI perception functionality. The first not only allows NPCs inside ship cockpits to target on-foot enemies not visible to radar, but also allows NPCs on the ground to visually track large objects such as vehicles and engage in ground-to-flight combat. That's going to be good for our learning or our assaulting bases and actually getting shot back at instead of automated turrets all the time. The second of those additions is audio perception. Previously, NPCs could hear any sound if they were at the right distance from it. Now the hearing component and audio map use the volume of the sound at its source and then calculate the strength of the audio received by the listener. This is used inside the perception component to influence the perception meter based on how strongly the sound is perceived. The new extension allows the designers to create multiple curves to describe the influence of the different audio semantics. For example, explosions have different influence than footsteps. Each audio stimulus also has a different maximum value it can push the perception meter to. That's kind of a lot to unpackage. So clearly there's a perception meter that probably is not going to be represented to us by anything other than wild lines and animations. So something you'll have to learn yourself. But it's interesting to know that different sounds will raise that meter a certain amount rather than there being a kind of binary detected, not detected sort of sense as there is right now. That's really annoying. And it's not stealth if you just, as soon as you're seen, you're done. I know that's real life, but like, come on. It's a game. Don't mention Diffie Q unless you want people to have flashbacks and trigger their PTSD. You were telling us about... Yo, Execute, what's up, man? How's it going? What was I telling about? What? Cantor, good to see you. Hello. Yo, we might need a Keanu meme, Frenchie. Although I don't think the breathtaking meme has had enough time to breathe. That's no pun intended. As a perfectly timed aside, and the Execute and the Inforunner crew had a great chat on YouTube about agent smithing and alternatives the other day. Highly recommend. Which one was that? Forgot to follow on Twitch. Thank you, Duovan. All right, moving on. This is an exciting thing, though. Sound perception's pretty cool. I wonder how well that will work in terms of sound going around like walls and stuff like that. Finally, for AI tech, the idle system was extended to allow the designers to set up different weights in the idle sets available to different usables. This allows them to better customize which idle set should be prevalent during the selection based on the environment they're creating. I don't really know what that means, actually. That's a little too much for me to take in too quickly. Ruby! Hey, friend. 07. You want more beam weapons? Are there any ship beam weapons right now? They're all projectile? I feel like I don't remember any ship ones. Okay, going to animation. The facial animation team dedicated most of the month to multiple PU character sets, including lines for rescue transport gameplay. That's important. That is an important little tidbit there. Rescue transport gameplay. I wonder if I can find a snippet of that. Star Citizen passenger transport roadmap. See if anybody posted a picture of that. Passenger transport was on the roadmap for like 1 month or so. They put it on at the end of last year, and then they were like, oh crap, that's not happening. And then they took it off. I don't see it. I don't see it anywhere on here. Might be on Odysseus version in 3.16. But that's a good thing to note. That means they're kind of working towards us being able to transport people in the game, which a lot of people are waiting for. Eventually that'll lead to use of stuff like the Genesis Starliner and the 890 jump. So the idea behind passenger transport in Star Citizen is that you'll have passengers of certain value. They want certain things. Some of them will want a fancier place like the 890 jump and will not be okay with that 890 jump going into atmosphere and getting all bumpy and doing a barrel roll. Other people might want a more exciting trip in something like a Constellation Phoenix, and they want to go and fly through clouds and get into a storm and see something cool. I imagine you'll have certain kinds of excitement levels and comfort levels that you have to meet for passengers far in the future. Obviously, that's nowhere near actually being in the game, but that's kind of where that profession is headed towards, I think. Not mention the Starliner and passengers in a bit. We were expecting taxi missions with 3.16. Yeah, exactly. So it got bumped. It's good to see it being read about again. Leaked video shows beam weapons. Spoilers. I didn't watch it. I'm not going to end up watching it. I'd like to go into Squadron 42 as spoiler-free as I can. I realize I'm going to be covering a lot of stuff that ruins some spoilers, but I'll avoid the ones I don't have to see. The Argo Mole certainly is a beam weapon ship. I've seen it fully manned against an Idris. In that case, the Prospector is also a pretty good beam weapon ship. Did I see that No Man's Sky got another update? Yo, No Man's Sky kills it with their updates. Wish they would come to CIG and help finish the game already. I think that would be a... I don't know how much that would actually help. Not mention the Starliner and passengers in a bit. I already read that one. This is what happens when I go off out of order. All right, continuing through animation, they also provided mocap and on-set facial services for the marketing team. Woo-wee. They're currently working on cleanup and facial animations for various Q4 events. Probably IAE, free fly event of some sort. Maybe a dynamic event. They still have like 3 dynamic events that they leaked to us. Quote unquote leaked, that they showed us when they were showing us Odin for the first time last summer. We still haven't seen them anywhere. So I'm wondering when they're going to bring those in or if they scrapped them. All right. As we continue into the art teams. The character art and tech art teams prepared various new armors, worked on the subscriber program, and progressed with Stanton's Earth Fashion outfits. The heck is Earth Fashion? What could Earth Fashion possibly be in 900 years? Only CIG knows. It's probably like jeans with a couple extra lines on them, like a light or something. On the concept art side, further development was done on Frontier outfits, undersuits and helmets, medical armor, and creatures. Now I betcha I can find the Frontier outfits that we've seen so far. They're pretty cute. I like the detail in these. It's got a cool vibe to it. Obviously, it's not like a homegrown, thrown together kind of thing. These are clearly manufactured, but you can tell, you know, they've got like parts and spots that are manufactured in different ways. Yeah, and skirts. Look at that. Skirt. Got a skirt. So definitely different styles from what we currently have. For some context to compare against, here is something that you would see in Stanton instead. Something like, what is this? No, that's not a good example.
Wow.
Wow. Something like this is a little more Stanton-y. Or if you want to get super Stanton-y, this is like straight up Microtech clothing styles for exercise people. That's about as far Stanton side you can get. But you can see that they're clearly going for... Man, I wish I had at least a couple other... I know they've shown more sort of definitive Stanton style clothing, but I don't think I have any of that. Yeah, this is all I've got. So clearly much different from these kinds of things, which feel a little more frontier, which I guess is what they're going for. Thrown together, schmack bagel, as I like to call them. You know, crocheted. And yet no word on hair, right? Yeah. Can't wait for bionic limbs. Bionic limbs will be cool. So yeah, these are the Frontier outfits. I don't think I have anything medical related, although I do know that there is some stuff floating around out there, some conceptual stuff. You know what? I could probably find, what was it? CitizenCon, I want to say 2019. Something about armor. Let's see if that's in here. Ship sounds, stream of thought, shoot 'em up. No. It's 2018. It's gotta be, right? It's gotta be 2018. Oh gosh, I might be wrong. No! Using the dang air horn. Nothing to be excited about here. I'm lost. I can't find... Let's see. Armor? Is there like a armor presentation? I swear it was 2018. Maybe it was 2019 though. Bunch of characters? No. Alright, let me try that search with 2019 one more time. Didn't see a skirt, only a long coat. You just don't know what makes a good skirt. Here we go. So they have shown us a couple of concepts of medical armor. This does not look like it. Nope, that is more utilitarian. Here we go. So this is like heavy medical armor here on the right side. As you can see, he's got a briefcase, so clearly he's medical, and he's white, so like, whoa. And that's just like a quick idea. I don't think there's really anything else here that gives too much away, but when they were talking more about these sorts of medical and utilitarian based armor sets, it's one of the things they were talking about. Don't think there's any others though. Yep, that's all we've got. Was that power armor? All armors are supposed to be powered at some point. Armored to what extent, or powered to what extent, I don't know, but let me see if there's any other concept art about medical armor out there. Oh, just that one. This guy. Yeah, I think this might have been... Here's a better picture of it. So you can see it's even got like that kind of medical symbol there. Biohazard, whatever that might mean. Little place for your thermos. Bring some coffee with you on your medical call. It does look like power armor though. It looks like it's very much powered. Anyways, medical armor coming soon, TM. They've talked plenty about utilitarian and medical armor. I think the armor teams, whoever works on armor stuff, has been pretty much at a standstill because of the same things as most people. The tools that they need to make that armor actually work, like the power management system and everything, just aren't in the game. So like, they took a break on them. Moving on though to ship art. In the US, the vehicle team took the Drake Corsair through final art and are currently putting the finishing touches on the wear and tint systems. They created new geometry for the exterior of the dock and collar and took it through final art with animations and lighting. Most of the team then moved on to LODs and the damage mesh. And then the team themselves said, "We are experimenting with a new setup system to trigger lights on the exterior of the ship for specific states, such as landing and when using the lift to allow for a more dynamic lighting experience." Great to hear. That's good stuff. So, huge complaint people have with this game is that the lights on the exteriors of ships are crap. And even though this probably won't fix that, it's nice to see that they're starting to focus on the context of those lights being important for certain things like landing, because it's very hard to land in this game. Now, one of the reasons that they don't really focus too much on the huge light sources at this point is because they're super expensive. If you are in the dark and you're shining lights and you're raycasting and you're creating shadows across the environment, those shadows have to be replicated for everybody in the area. And if you have 10 different ships shining lights in 10 different directions, okay, 36,000 different I don't know, and in all different directions, creating all sorts of shadows, that rendering budget starts to rack up pretty quickly. So like, you decrease the distance that those lights shine, you don't have to worry so much about shadows. You don't want to have a bunch of 200-meter shadows that you have to render. So I think, at least I hope, my fingers are crossed that the Gen 12 renderer actually starts to help with this, in that now they have a renderer that they know, they control, and they can work on in the future to try and make it easier for these lights to become brighter. So it's good to see that they're starting to focus on that experience, hopefully shortly after the actual lights themselves follow. Additional support was also given to the Drake Vulture, ready for release in 3.18. In the UK, ShipArt continued work on the Argo SRV, which is progressing through Greybox with only habitation remaining. I'd say that's still like 6 to 8 months out. The final art passed on an unannounced ship was completed in preparation for review this month. We're very pleased with how this ship turned out, the ship team is saying. It was a great opportunity for us to push the workflow and visuals forward. For example, exterior lighting states, better looking glass and glows on exterior lights, new damage trims, and new artwork for countermeasures. JG Wentworth, my boy, thank you so much for the 500 bits. I really do appreciate the support. Throwing it in for the garden. Thank you, my friend. So it's cool to see that they have taken the chance with a new ship to go a little bit further in their detail with these ship making processes. Although again, it makes you wonder, does that mean every other ship will have to get this update? When is the gold pass actually the gold pass? How long is that going to take? That's always the question that comes up with these ship improvements. But again, higher quality is nice, as long as it's not taking away too much from like the actual process of developing these ships, but this is just the ship art team. Maybe CIG should lower shadow quality when that happens, or have the engine combine any lights within a given distance from each other. See, that's the kind of stuff I feel like they would start to be able to do now that they control the renderer from top to bottom, at least from what we're seeing. Lefty 07. 07. That's just my opinion, though. I don't know if that's actually true. Okay. An unannounced ground vehicle passed its final review gate, with some small alterations in the dashboard being made to improve the visibility of the speedometer alongside polished tasks. Many of us now have seen the leaks of this new vehicle. We know it's most likely coming in IAE or CitizenCon. A small vehicle for getting around. They continue to focus a lot on ground gameplay despite the lack thereof, pointing towards probably a lot more ground gameplay in the near future plans. When I say near future, I mean like next 2 years. Likely things surrounding the outposts, possibly short delivery stints and stuff like that. I will be streaming for CitizenCon, absolutely, Left Shark. In fact, if you type an !CitCon in the chat, you'll get a little link taking you where my stream will be. Little notification. You can either come here on Twitch, or you can use that link to head over to YouTube, but that link will give you a notification when I go live for that. thought gold standard is just a moving target, and any ship that's gold standard is just at the level where ship tech is at the moment. That's probably what it is. But that's why, like, the question is, when is gold standard actually gold standard? Like, when is it? When do we know that a ship was made and it will be able to function with the features that it needs to, you know? With resource management, with becoming a derelict, with the damage maps, with the cargo grid, like that kind of stuff. It's hard to know because gold standard doesn't necessarily mean yes. It just means, well, yes, up until that point. Be right back, Jaybird. Got you. Only concern you have with those ground vehicles is that they're too expensive. Yeah, nobody should buy ground vehicles with real money. That is a terrible idea. Not to hate on your ideas. You know, if it's your idea, it's a great idea for you. But I think buying any ground vehicles in Star Citizen with real money is not a good idea. I know people want them for LTI tokens, but I also just don't think that's worth it either. They should release the speed of vehicles that they intend it to be around 35, 45. Gold standard final V2. Well said about the ground vehicles. Execute, I get it from you guys. Info runners are the people to like... Y'all at Info Runners, I mean, obviously I am part of Info Runners, but more than anything I know, you guys know what the value of these things are and have been very keen on teaching not to go for these smaller things in terms of value spent. So if you want more information on that kind of stuff, definitely check out the Info Runners YouTube channel. But overall, I think a lot of people would go with the idea that it's not a good idea to get ground vehicles. Banu Merchantman LTI token. Perfect investment. Folks seem to think it's one and done, but it just means the current gold standard. Yeah. So it seems, which is confusing. But what isn't in this game? Mutable Soul, hi. Hello. Kind of counterproductive to add more graphic demanding features before they get the servers and whatever hardware is needed to run such features working properly. Just saying. What are you referring to there? The stuff that they're adding to these ships? Oh, we got a Drazen in the chat. Out of the morning meeting, dude? How's work going? How y'all doing down there in the old T of A? T of A? T of Exis. While you're fitting to answer that one up, let's go ahead and move on to the next point. We got the unannounced ground vehicle. The Hull C polish pass was concluded with all the major bugs and improvements completed. So on the art side, the Hull C is good to go. It's ready. Now we just need to see when the functionality is going to happen. How was the flannel convention? How is the boot spurs emporium? Gen 12 is almost done. Gen 12, let's go. Just a thought. Development slower because funding is good. If funding slows, would development fast track the things user want now? Bug fixes, ship releases? I don't think so. I think if development slowed, we probably see less going into Star Citizen. Because the first thing that they're going to start to pull employees from if they start running out of money to pay employees is going to be Star Citizen. Squadron 42 is where they see the money coming from. So if the funding slowed down, most likely the same things in Star Citizen would be happening, just at a slower rate. At least that's what I believe. Because they're still doing bugs fixing right now. They're still releasing the ships that they're working on. And they're still trying to transfer over features. They just don't do the best at it at the moment. Because there's so much going on. Development isn't slow. Star Citizen is so much more than anything else that there's really nothing to compare from. I mean, development's kind of slow, in my opinion. I think it's slow, but like Tree said, like Tree said, a lot of it is like R&D and developing the actual tools. So the gameplay itself feels slow for sure. I was having a conversation with a friend earlier today. He was saying, yeah, the gameplay hasn't tangibly changed that much this year. It hasn't been that much of a successful year when it comes to the game itself changing. Whereas I was also coming from the angle of this has been a super exciting year because their own workflows and tools and technicalities have changed a lot, from the way they've been able to start building these derelicts more systemically with actual content included, to the way that the narration team has gotten more involved in missions, to the way that gosh, now I can't remember what I was saying. I don't remember the third part, but there are different like technical improvements they made this year that have been more exciting than the actual gameplay improvements they've made, and that makes it feel much more slow on the gameplay side of things, while they're also still making good progress on the technical side of things. Games are massively iterative, so much stuff ends up on the cutting floor. We just don't normally do it in the public eye, so gamers don't see it. And whenever CIG says it or does it in the public eye, it's a rough look. All right, the resource management pass on the Aegis Hammerhead continued with a new gravity generator room being added. The team also began implementing the new component bays. Work also began on an upcoming variant, a variant of the Hammerhead. What the heck does that mean? What does that mean? What kind of Hammerhead variant could there be? A bomb dropping Hammerhead? No. How about a medical Hammerhead? Instead of turrets, they just have a bunch of med pen dispensers raining from the sky. What we would need are actual quality missions which require the use of already existing gameplay mechanics, then it would not be an issue that development was slow. There are a lot of mechanics to use in this game and not many reasons to use them. Agreed. You don't think it meant Hammerhead variant? What else would they mean? It's so ambiguous. They don't even name anything on there. Just a variant in general? Just a variant. Isn't that like some term in some movie? Some like Hunger Games like movie? A mantis hammerhead. It'd be really interesting if there was a hammerhead with some kind of a EMP dampening field or something. I don't know. That'd be weird. A cargo running hammerhead. A boarding hammerhead. It's got multiple boarding docking tubes, and it can disable a ship to get close. Shield emitter turrets? Whoa. Just an unannounced variant. But wouldn't they normally say unannounced variant? Like if it was an unannounced variant, don't they usually say that in the monthly reports? They talked about an unannounced variant a few monthly reports ago. Yeah, like that. Like wouldn't they have, like if they said it a few months ago, wouldn't they say it in this one too? I don't know, it's just such a weird way to say it. You want us to have nails? Like shooting nails at people? It's dark. All right, I was skipping community as I don't believe there was anything too important in there. Variant on an existing ship. Yeah, I wish they had just said like work completed on an upcoming variant of a ship, or like of an unannounced ship, or anything other than just a variant. But whatever. All right, in engine. In September, the physics team refactored the Ray World intersection verification, of course. Requests are now verified when queued. The RWI API now also supports the name parameter idiom to prevent further mishaps in its use. An option was also added to RWI that allows sphere tracing against distance fields, as you know. Moreover, changes were done in the level export code to enable the reliable attachment of roped to other ropes? Thinking that means ropes to other entities on the client. Get to rope up your friends. We actually read more about that in a little bit. On the renderer, more progress was made on the Gen 12 transition. Cube map backdrops, light beams, geom caches. We will talk about this a little bit in the future. Silhouette rendering, water volumes, and water reflections and water caustics were ported. Various editor tools now run with Gen 12 as well, such as the character editor and mannequin. These are good. This is good. This is good. Somebody say wow, because this is good. Last month's support for transient graphics passes saw further adoption uptake, with lots more passes now using it. Furthermore, support for transient compute and copy clear passes was added, and work to support transient scene render passes is currently underway. Additionally, memory tracking for graphics passes was added. Gen 12 now also supports texture anisotropy, overrides, as well as global MIP bias. Material resource binding was refactored, and alpha blending support was added to the hologram shader. Lastly, various optimizations were done to avoid redundant clears on render targets and updates on pass resources. What does any of that mean? Go. Please. Please, somebody. Please help me, save me. I don't know what the... I said I wasn't a programmer. Like, I have no clue what that stuff meant. I just know, like, Gen 12 is going well, and they got a lot of passes going on with stuff. Maybe they're playing football, because they're passing a lot. Good technical stuff. That's what we're going to call this. Positive technical words. Yay. Now, the one sentence I can at least be happy for here, the Gen 12 port of volumetric cloud rendering was completed. This feels like a big deal. I don't actually know how big a deal it is, because the Gen 12 stuff is very helpful in getting more work onto the GPU. And volumetric cloud stuff, as far as I was aware, already was pretty GPU heavy. But the volumetric clouds are also very resource intensive. So if this is getting something ported over from the CPU to the GPU and that stuff, then more power to it. Thank you, CIG. Hopefully it fixes the pixely clouds. Hopefully. Don't like the salty, sugary pixel clouds. My hype levels are too high. Yo, I can't lower them. I got high hype levels in my blood. High hype sugar blood. High blood hype. All right. On the core engine, you see, they're still building the core engine. Like, it sucks. It's a bummer that it's taken this long for the engine to get to where it is. It's not like super crazy. I'm pretty sure Unreal Engine 4 took quite a while to get to where it was. It's not insanely crazy. It is something that they vastly underestimated, I think. But it just goes to show why this game's taking so long. They're not even done with the core engine. That, as disappointing as that may be, that's reality. And that slows down the actual game making by a ton. But anyways, the team added support for syscalls in SIG profile, and frame time is now included in peak detection SIG trace events. More work is being done to enable P4K files to be memory mappable, which will allow for faster engine startup. As an optimization, the team was able to remove entity-based network wake-ups. I know P4K files are important. I have no idea why. Not a single clue. Think they're like very efficient in size and compression. Again, more technical babble. Again, it's positive. Again, makes me f***ing happy. Oh, Depa, come. Shoot. Depa just literally like wrecked it. Oh, I love you, mate. Thank you so much for that. $50 super chat. That's huge in the YouTube chat. Thank you. Hype and toes in chat, please. I really appreciate that. I hope you're enjoying the monthly report. I hope you're getting something out of this. You're learning something about the YouTube's development, the game's development. This is the best way to understand what's going on in Star Citizen, and I'm just trying to add a little context. Epic are never done with the core engine either. Fortnite exists as a way to test the engine. Well, there we go. From an actual dev. You're on a rocket ship. Is that you? Am I in the clouds? I don't know. Either way, that the person looks happy on that ship. Big ups, big thank yous. Progress is progress for you. Whoa, forward. Always. Okay, the remainder of the time from the engine team was spent supporting 318 and the live PU. On to features. Features are fun. Features are our friend, not food. Throughout September, work continued on the underlying system for FPS devices. This included adding features such as timer and proximity triggers and support for behaviors such as explosions and actor status effects when devices are triggered. This will, for example, allow the team to replace the out-of-date flashbang logic. Yo, check this out. You know what this means? You guys know what this means because I've been talking about it constantly, almost every monthly report for the last several months. We will be looking at breaching charges soon, I think. Timer-based explosives with FPS usables falls right in line with breaches. And considering that we're starting to look at things like investigative missions, outposts with possibly closed, locked, unpowered doors, and stuff like that, and something else I'm going to show you here shortly. In fact, I will give you a little teaser because it is kind of fun. So remember this, breaching charges, right? Yada yada yada. Put this on a ship, blow up a certain spot, combine it with something we're going to look at later in this monthly report known as soft body deformation through new methods, and well, maybe it starts to lay something out, a little path out, little new types of gameplay there. But we're gonna get to that in a little bit. We'll talk more about that soft body stuff. Soft bodies. The features team also began prototyping the flow for restraining NPCs and other players, which will be used when an enemy is incapacitated or surrenders. The players can apply wrist and ankle restraints to ensure the enemy is not able to recover and resume hostilities. Can't imagine how this will be abused. Of course, they say, another player or NPC may come along and remove the restraint, but it is a small risk for those who want to avoid using lethal action. I think we're also going to have to be able to stun them in that case, which means that CIG is going to have to provide us with some sort of a stun gun pretty soon for that gameplay to mean something. So, again, another sign of multiple parts of gameplay making progress in towards the ultimate, an actual profession. And I believe I do have something here. We go. So this shows us a little bit of the teasers of what they've been looking at in terms of new jobs. And as you can see, kidnapping was there. Kidnapping has totally been a planned thing that they want reputation in. It might not be called kidnapping, but clearly it's something has been on their mind for that. And they're moving towards it slowly with these different features. Imagine you're just vibing and suddenly a hole gets blown into the wall and you get sucked out. Hey, we've got an example of that somewhere around here. JG, thanks for the 100 bits, mate. Appreciate you. We'll be getting a crime stat for stunning a guard. You know, I would say probably ask yourself if you might get in trouble for that in real life. That might give you a hint. Now, Volt weapons we've been talking about may have a stun gun. Maybe, yeah. Quick question. Where the heck are these boxes? I've looked everywhere to get the helms and can't find any. People in the server I'm in won't help. Oh, for the Halloween event, to be honest, Zenectical, I have no idea. I haven't been following the Halloween events much. I don't know. I think they're in bunkers, maybe? Somebody in chat, can you help them out? Taryn, coming in with the kebab fund. Thank you for the 100 bits. I appreciate that. Giraffa said, nope. They're in outposts, not in bunkers. There are non-lethal takedowns. You are right about that. Any planet's landing pads at outposts with the red boxes. Okay. HDMS Pinewood was where you found one? Thanks for helping out, Zenectical. Happy to do it. Okay, we're on to gameplay. Gameplay features team continued to support the release of Salvage T0. Additionally, they made several quality of life plans for mining and loot generation that will be worked on after the release of Alpha 3.18. Both features will receive a general balance pass, while the team is looking to improve multi-crew mining. For example, by adding benefits to using an Argo Mole over several MISC prospectors. So they're tightening up gameplay around mining as they're also bringing in salvage, making those two professions two that hopefully people will be able to rely on after server meshing makes it in. They need to get the ability of scanning these asteroids and how the scanning works tightened in and actually working. Because if we can say that mercenary work, bounty hunting work with V2, investigative work as they're bringing in this new archetype, and then salvage and mining work are all functional and actually interesting by 4.0, that is a good amount of gameplay that's like reliably diverse and interesting for players to do. They're gonna have to make sure though that they're not super glitchy and that they are still easy to take apart, and even if you don't have the ships that require them. But if we do get that working, that's 5 professions with a basic amount of gameplay by the end of next year. Now I don't know what was going on with hacking. I don't know how wide that's going to be. And I guess engineering also would kind of be a profession, but probably won't have missions. But overall, with salvage coming in, mining getting a little bit extra multi-crew polish passing going on, engineering gameplay coming in 4.0, Bounty Hunter V2 maybe coming in next year. Mercenary work obviously being something you can do in the new underground facilities, and if we're very, very lucky, what was I gonna say? I lost it. I had something else. Cargo hauling. I don't think cargo hauling will be in a good place next year though, but if it was, that's a lot of gameplay. That's a much better look on gameplay than we had early this year or last year. They're also bringing in a lot more locations with these derelict ships, with these new types of outposts, with these new types of caves. So we could see some pretty diverse gameplay within a year or two. But we're always saying that, so, you know, maybe not. Work continued on the resource network, which involved gameplay features working alongside vehicles to unify the way temperatures are controlled throughout the ship, including the coolers that some ships carry. We've seen plenty and plenty of proof of this. One of those times being this page, which is kind of just the UI that they were using on their own end. And we can see that, yes, they do have plenty of temperature control stuff going on here. This isn't what we'll be seeing, but this is kind of like the bones of it, you know, giving us proper proof that they are working on this in game. And of course, I know you all are just so sick of me showing you this, but it's always somebody's first show. We've also got the actual balance of how resources work between your fuel tank, your power plant, your battery, your lights, your turrets, and all that kind of stuff, and how that will fluctuate throughout an entire ship as the engineer races around and tries to keep all these power systems on board. Literally 25 hours from now, we'll be hearing about this some more, so make sure to come to that stream. But this is a huge part of gameplay coming next year, and it's exactly what they're talking about right here in this update. The EU-based PU team also began supporting their US team on the cargo refactor as it approaches release. That's not a huge amount of info, but it is good to finally see them reference the cargo refactor by name in a monthly report. Don't think they've done that yet. This is a huge sign that they are confident that this is actually coming along pretty well, and we should be able to expect it with Salvage T0 since it's kind of required. To Stepford. That alert was waiting for you for some reason. Thank you for the sub. Why was that alert waiting? Did they coerce you into subbing up? Either way, I appreciate the support. Evan Reed, you just got a sub and you're wondering what it is? You just got a sub where? What's the subscribers den? Oh, you subbed to RSI? You get like some like perks. You get a couple of things every month. I think they give you like an item You can fly a ship every month. They give you like a separate ship from the game that you get to fly as a sub. That kind of stuff. Think the 600i gold standard is coming out this weekend. That'd be cool. Love this stream. Good info. Keep it up. Thank you. All right, moving on. Features. Mission features team. They began the month preparing for the go-no-goes for Alpha 3.18 security post Correa rework, infiltrate missions on Orison platforms, and the prison updates. Reading into that says, a simple change to help prevent combat logging was also tested, with time being allocated for further work following feedback. Hitting up the combat logging exploit would be huge. That's definitely going to change bounty hunting. And that might be the reason that they're doing it. They're looking to really improve the bounty hunting experience with Bounty Hunting V2, linking into the quantum simulation system, linking into some of the security systems and stuff like that. Eliminating a vast majority of the combat logging would also help bounty hunters feel like their efforts are more rewarded. Ooh, Toki. Good to see you here. We had a conversation I needed to have with you and I completely forgot. We got to talk. Thanks for hopping in. Sub flare this month is the Cutlass Black plushie. I mean, the flares are going to start to... They'll be a thing in the future. You might as well grab that plushie while you can. Why do I think cargo hauling is going to diminish next year? I don't think it's going to diminish. I'm just not confident it's going to improve that much. I think for cargo hauling to really improve... Which space? I think for cargo hauling to properly improve, it's going to depend a lot on the economy. And they have not talked at all about that. So I'm just not going to get my hopes up. What keeps me coming back to the game? Freaking, I like space games. Wow. I love space games. That's really what it is. I will be interested in just about any game that is based in space sci-fi stuff. I might not play it, but I'm going to be interested in it for that specific reason. Callisto Protocol, Dead Space, Outer Wilds, Astroneer, Outer Worlds, Starfield, Star Citizen, Elite Dangerous, No Man's Sky, like all of them. I love that stuff. Star Wars games. I wish Star Wars 1313 happened. I wanted Prey 2 to happen so badly. Like there's just so much potential in space and sci-fi based games, and Star Citizen is really, really good at tapping into that. I'm not here for the gameplay right now. I would say 70% I am here for the following the development, because that is very interesting to me. I love seeing how these features come together, how these different parts eventually make a whole. At least they tell us it's going to. And being able to watch as like dream functionality, dream features, things that I've been thinking about doing since I was a kid kind of come together in front of me. That being said, I don't play the game that much because right now it's not that. That's why it's the development that I'm mostly interested at this point. And I think there's definitely a disconnect between the people who are interested in the development and the people who are interested in playing the game. Most of the people who are interested in the development are not going to be as angry about how slow it's going as the people who just want to play the game and enjoy what it's supposed to be. And I get that. Yeah, it's a shame Star Wars 1313 didn't happen. Really disappointing. Ah, there's your boy. There he is. You've been shocked by how much of the game was new when you joined in the last IAE? How long were you away for, Shemp? You want both and you want it now? Hey, I feel you, Stray Dog. I'm in the same way. Like, Gib now. Okay, let's go on to feature no, sorry. We were still on mission features. Okay, so testing progressed well on the lessening of crime stat 1 and 2 severity. Improvements were also made to help... Whoa! Oh my god, that almost went over my computer. Improvements were also made to help differentiate between a trespass zone and an area controlled by unlawful hostiles. Significant process. Excuse me. This is the features section. No, this is important. The people want to hear about this. This is crime stats, okay? Crime stats 1 and 2. You don't want to go to jail for that. Korea is the only place you can get rid of crime stats now. So the fact that they're going to let you pay it off with fines is something people are... No, hey, people are celebrating. Stop it. Maybe he's celebrating. Maybe that's the thing. He's just excited to hear about this, as we are. Because this is great. Significant progress is made on time trials 2. That's, I guess, racing. Including improvements to allow designers to create an infinite number of checkpoints of any shape with area tools. Guys, crime stats 1 and 2 sound like they're only going to be fines. How wonderful is that? Like, this is the law system is finally kind of seeing a little bit of work. It's so bad, the law system, and it really needs to be better because we totally, the game's not going to work well if we don't start to give people actual consequences for their actions and save people who didn't actually create consequences for themselves. You had high hopes for 1313? Yeah. You had heard about SC but never really looked into it until IAE last year? Wow, Shemp, I already feel like you're like a fixture, you know, in the community. Like, I'm just really used to seeing your name. It feels like you've been around for longer than a year. Can't find an HDMS outpost on Lyria? Yeah, HDMS outpost... That's Hurston Dynamics Outpost, so that'll be all around the Hurston planetary system, on Hurston itself. Need a special NVIDIA broadcast filter for prayer noises? I don't know, I might just double down with it, like, who was saying that? Throw a beat down, turn the music off, throw on the emote. We're gonna have an emote for prayer time, so you guys can all spam something in chat whenever that happens. That was Artex that was saying that. How will they ever solve cases like self-defense? Yeah, that's gonna be weird and hard. I don't know. It's because the SC community is super badass. Great community. It is a great community. The positive side of the SC community is like a freaking warm space hug. And we all need a warm space hug. It's too cold and vacuumy out there. Water noises. You got crime stat 3 twice yesterday and you were completely innocent? What the heck were you doing to get crime stat 3s? You shooting security guards? If they made it right, could be a huge seller. I think it will be a huge seller at some point. Okay, September also saw progress on the investigation mission mentioned in last year's report. This is important, as most of you know, because this is something they're really focusing on. So much so that it is taking up an entire panel at CitizenCon. Investigation missions. A new mission archetype. This is something that we're going to be seeing in detail during tomorrow's stream, 24 hours from now. Like I said, remember, !CitCon will bring that up for you if you want a notification for when that stream starts. But definitely check it out because it is going to be, this will be one of the panels that we're talking about, these new missions. I think they're going to make a pretty big difference when it comes to missions in the game. They had to say about it, we feel we are ready to let narrative go wild with creating mysteries aboard a variety of ships and surrounding environments. I'm excited. I'm really happy to hear narrative going much, much harder in missions. That's a big deal. That's something this game has needed for a long time. It's great to see it. You love to see it. Can't wait to go all detective. Seriously, imagine if they could tie this into Bounty Hunter. Imagine just like for a second that part of being a bounty hunter, you go to a bar, right? You talk to the bartender, something they've been working on for a long time. You get specific information from that bartender. They tell you, hey, go check out this crashed ship up in orbit. You go there, You look around, you do some investigative stuff. Maybe an NPC is there, somebody else that's already there and searching. You have to eliminate them. You find a note. That note tells you this is where your target is. Suddenly you now have a name. You can start to track them using quantum, using the services, using the probability volumes to figure out where they've been going and doing all of their bad deeds. And it turns from an investigation mission that you got information from a bartender into a bounty hunting mission. I'm theory crafting. Don't take my word on all this stuff, but like, that's sort of the way that I feel their missions are looking to develop. And from what I've heard, that's how missions kind of worked in Freelancer. They would string together certain strings, strings, and make missions develop with different types of gameplay. But I could just be crazy. That might never happen. Think they should have shoe shine guys. Change back to Twitch and not feeling YouTube. I get you. Imagine. Daydream. You said security is on Korea now. Did they remove it from DDV6 on Microtech? Korea is going to be the only place that you can get rid of a crime stat now, from what they're saying. Yeah, it is taking what they've said and putting it together, but you never know if they'll actually put it together like that. Only after we get to save our progress between sessions. Yeah, that'd be nice. Well, preferably, the progress never goes away. It just persists. You can pick it back up whenever you want. A mission taking longer than 5 minutes flight and getting to launch more than one torp would be nice. That would be. Launching one torp would be way better, yeah. How do you think they will slow down ships? My brain having a hard time understanding that. I think the best thing they can do is build in benefits for us having slowed down ships, as opposed to artificially slowing them down. That's what they tried to do with hover mode with VTOL flight. They tried to just artificially force us to hover instead of giving us benefits or consequences against hovering or choosing not to. And the Star Citizen way so far has mainly been to give us those benefits or consequences rather than just saying, no, bad, don't do that, bad. So I hope that they don't just ratchet down the speeds. That would be a very lazy way of doing it. I don't think that's what they'll do, but I'm hoping against it. Did you catch the talk about the Connie improvements a while back? And they were basically like, yeah, we'll probably remove some cockpit struts. I don't remember that, but that'd be cool. Yeah, we will see it tomorrow, Hellion. Multiple ways to hack would be nice. Yeah, Malakina. Tell me space will have speed limits. Space already got speed limits. They said, yeah, they set arbitrary speed limits just for the sake of making sure that they can control that gameplay. They could give us some combat mode. You're right, Metatron. Combat, cruise, quantum, VTOL. We'll see how they split it up. Could file into power management. You're absolutely right about that too. Hey, Kemi. How you doing, my friend? Let me give you that shout out real quick. Good to see you in here. Power systems will automatically balance themselves as you pull power for particular components outside of ballistics. I see damage effectiveness altering if you change balance of power distribution. That'd be interesting. That'd be a way to do it. Power management, yeah. Denizen was also saying that. How much time left for the event? 24 hours until it starts. Okay, keeping on track. Work with the UI team on the redesign of the contract manager began in earnest, with specific features and problems being worked through each week. Finally, for mission features, that honestly sounds like they want the contract manager to be up to snuff fairly soon. I wonder if they want to aim for 4.0 to have the contract manager done. In that case, I do hope they talk more about the Moby-Glass being switched over to building blocks, because they haven't spoken much on that. Finally, for mission features, plans for the team's work up to Q2 2023 were proposed, including many new and long anticipated mission types. That just makes me go back to this screen. Hold on. Makes me go back to this screen and think to myself, what might they be doing from here? Espionage? Hired muscle? Emergency response? Kidnapping? Hauling? Smuggling? Theft? Kidnapping V2, it said. Ho ho ho. Level 10. All right, vehicle features. Last month, vehicle features focused on supporting the release of persistent entity streaming. This included work on the transit system, which received a significant refactor to cope with how things now stream. The team also spent time improving other older systems, including Tiles, the underlying tech system that connects objects to power and other resources. They also reworked the aiming and gunnery system, which received upgrades for future releases to simplify and improve things. For example, making weapons significantly more accurate and reliable in vehicles. They talked a little bit about this when they were talking about salvage work, making it so that turrets had a different method of controlling them. There's a lot going on with that kind of gameplay coming up here shortly, it seems, especially when it comes to vehicles. Speaking of UI, you're praying for specific helmet UI, combat racing and medical. I would love if you could customize the UI yourself. That doesn't seem out of the realm of possibilities. That actually seems like something that you'd really expect in an MMO. Especially one that is so skill-based. It's so based on you knowing your stuff rather than being handed your stuff by the game. I agree with you there. You're pleasantly surprised CIG's working on medical armor. Please keep that traditional white and red. Yeah, the concept art, we looked that up briefly. Don't look at my search history. It's dirty. It's about a bunch of spaceships. Like this kind of armor. That's looking good. And I would love to see what the light version of this is, because this looks really cool for some heavy medical armor. Sell it so we don't lose our helmets. Yeah. There's so much auto aim in man turrets right now. It's not even funny. They're not overpowered. They're just too consistent. Yeah, there's still some tweaking to do. It's way better than it used to be where you couldn't hit anything, but it's still a little too grabby onto your aim. Then again, like, I think turrets should be made pretty easy to use. Like, people should be rewarded for taking up, for leaving their ship behind and actually taking up a space as a turret. Or that's a big deal to have another full human character in your ship guiding another gun. So there needs to be really substantial reward for that versus just taking your own ship. Aight. For new systems, the team worked on the EUPU's Team's Resources Network, converting vehicle systems to utilize the new implementation and updating all item behaviors. That's what we were just talking about before, about controlling your ship, being an engineer. Vesmup. Yo, another OG. A VIP. Can we, honestly, we need to start handing out more VIP badges, because a lot of you have been around here, have been just driving this stream along for years now. We need to get you all with that representation. There's a sweet spot between making them easy to use and still making them skill-based. Yeah. Good gunners should exist. You're right about that, Steve. Can't wait for physical lockers. How are they doing on that? Obviously, what we see here is not going to be directly indicative of when it gets into the game. They haven't really talked about it in a while, though. I don't know if they've been mentioning it on the Squadron 42 monthly report, but that's definitely where it would go first. Looks like the scheduled work, at least, is due to finish this quarter. Doesn't say when it was last updated, though. But I can't imagine we see this before 4.0, to be honest. I mean, I hope we see it by 4.0, to be extra honest. You don't want more utility FPS stuff, shield bubble grenades, hollow shields, grapples, jetpacks, parachutes, smokes, on-foot scanning. All that stuff makes FPS so much more than lean, corner, and shoot. You're saying you don't want that, or you do? Oh, you're saying you really want more FPS stuff. Yeah, okay. Overcast, you're spot on. Did you miss the up here somewhere they mentioned that? Where was it? Here we go. Work continued on the underlying system for FPS devices. This included adding features such as timer and proximity triggers and support for behaviors such as explosions and actor status effects when triggered devices are triggered. This will, for example, allow the team to replace the out-of-date flashbang logic. And when we were looking into that, I was bringing up that they do have some of this stuff kind of in the works, so check this out. We've got a cutter tool here that will eventually be able to cut through doors and other types of surfaces. We've got the door breaching charge here that they've been concepting and getting ready for the game. And then we've also got, where might I find this? Somebody actually forcing a door open with a manual breaching. Here we go. Manual breaching component. So like they have some of the FPS stuff that they've been slowly developing in terms of art and gameplay. It's just stuck whatever wall everything else is stuck behind, whatever wall everything else is stuck behind. Nothing crazy, but the idea of what missions they could use this sort of thing for to break in, stuff like that could be cool. And then yeah, they talked a little bit about proximity triggers and stuff. Seemed more bombs than utility. Right. I think overall the FPS devices is, if we go back to the July monthly report, I think they talked a little bit more about, let's see. I'm going back because I also want to confirm if they did mention that or if this was just kind of explosive stuff. They started laying the groundwork for FPS devices. There were already some examples of these in games, such as grenades and mining gadgets, but as the list of devices expand, the team wants to take a more systemic approach. So yeah, they didn't necessarily mention anything else, but I think the overall system is hoping to expand FPS stuff, hopefully more towards that utility kind of stuff you're talking about, drop shields and things like that. Does the multi-tool cutter still work? It does, but I don't think there's anything in the game you can actually cut, besides maybe a couple of little things in some special mission. Hey, no problem, Overcast. CIG server meshing? I hope. We keep saying it, but you know. I hope. All right. Work with UI. No, we were past this, weren't we? No, we weren't. Work with UI on the redesign of the contract manager began in earnest. We were past that. Finally, for mission features, plans for the team, we already passed that. We're on to vehicle features. Last month, the vehicle features team focused on supporting the release of persistent entity streaming. It's very cool to see that just being casually talked about finally. This included work on the transit system, which received a significant refactor to cope with how things now stream. I'm really hoping, because they've talked about this several times throughout the year, I'm really hoping that the work they've been doing on transit, that is trains and elevators, for server meshing and persistent entity streaming is part of why elevators have been so terrible this year. No, there's no real reason why that would be the case, as they're not actually putting this work into the game itself. But I hope, just so that I can hope that it gets better afterwards. What's my favorite career path? Heck if I know. Conceptually speaking, explorer, but I don't know how exploration's actually gonna go. I think I'm gonna be a cross between exploration, data running, sort of like outpost base management and fleet management. I really would love to be able to take roles like that in my org, at some point. I know there are going to be people who are better than me at it, and I'd like to have them making sure we are keeping things up to snuff so that I don't like get distracted and not do that stuff correctly. But those things sound exciting to me. Also, thanks for the hydration reminder. Drink up, folks. Hydro homies. What do I mean by explorer? Literally just being able to go to a place that I haven't been before or have been before to try and find something valuable. Whether that's a resource deposit, a new derelict, a pirate base, or a Pico somebody dropped 2 years ago in the desert. Yeah, I'm gonna be a desk clerk part-time. Bet your ass. The most red desk clerk you've ever seen. Even more than that sunburned person out on the sidewalk in Miami. The team also spent time improving other older systems. I already read that part. Man, I'm just repeating myself. Where were we? Resource network. Okay, they also progressed with features driven by the needs of Squadron 42. Most notably, the ship MFD system, which has been fully planned out and designed and is currently being implemented in-game. This is interesting because I don't know if they mean implemented in-game in Squadron 42 or the PU. I'm going to assume they mean Squadron 42 and we won't be seeing MFDs anytime soon. But I can show you guys an early example of what the MFDs were supposed to look like a couple years ago. Who knows if they're actually going to look like this now, but here's some previs of what they wanted them to look like. That was not very long. Let's do that again. So as you can see, a lot better use of color. It's a little less bland and uniform than it was before. The graphical readouts are a little easier to see with numbers being bigger and in better, more readable places. But overall, this was a previs. They didn't test this, so they didn't know how functional it might be. But this is something that we might be seeing in our MFDs next year, it sounds like, based on their sort of timeline. Here's another shot, another look at these. A little close up, a little zoom in. And again, you can see that they're using color a little bit better. Numbers are looking a little bit better. Everything just looks more clean and tidied up. I don't know if this is good enough. I don't play flight sims. I am not a huge PvPer. I don't look at my MFDs, to be honest. But I think they look good, at least. Definitely better than what we've had. I believe I have one more shot of them here. Kind of showing how you can have them on your HUD, I assume, I suppose. I'm not sure about that. But that's the footage that I have of this stuff. Size 5 torps on a Gladius. You know, doing a little of customization. No biggie. Okay, moving on to graphics and VFX programming and Planetech. In October, the graphics team completed work on edge highlight rendering code in support of the FPS scanning of occluded objects. This involved creating a new render-to-texture layer used exclusively for augmented reality rendering, which will be used for all AR in-world UI rendering moving forward. The shader used for AR rendering was also upgraded to support tessellation smoothing, triplanar, texture mapping, and dynamic multi-scale texturing. This is great. I think this is something they can use in the new player experience and really can use to help highlight things that are interactive with. If you have a certain HUD or visor on, this could be something that highlights road signs and says, hey, look at road signs in this game because they'll tell you where to go. Or highlights elevator buttons and says, hey, you got into an elevator, but it's not going to go till you press the button. Click here. Those kinds of contextual tips that they can throw into the game and highlight with just like a little outline. Super important to the new player experience. And I really hope that what they're talking about here with this new augmented reality rendered texture layer is something they can use for that. Where can we find that footage? Honestly, I can't tell you. I can tell you that it was recorded in October of 2020 on some Inside Star Citizen episode, but that's all I have here on my file. I just save all of this footage and usually just put like a date on the end of it to let me know when I got it, but that's all I can help with. Sorry. Do I think there will be missions against NPC players that start in space as a dogfight and end up on the surface of a planet as a first-person shooter battle? Yes, I think you'll have missions that start like that. I think you'll probably scrape that person up in space and then head down to planet, finish the rest off. Oh yeah, call ATC to leave would be nice. Yep. Highlighting the entrance of your ship would be nice. There's tons of different ways they can use that kind of a shader, so it's great to hear that they're getting it into the game. All right, at the request of the UI team, the graphics team investigated the possibility of using D3D Vulkan's anti-aliased line rendering for rendering wireframes on UI meshes. However, they decided to go with shader-based approach using tessellation hardware instead due to performance issues on the drivers. Which space? Maybe you can help me with that. I don't know. Feathers, hello. Glad to have you with us. Welcome. All right. The team also began looking into improving and unifying all resource streaming systems, with the goal of simplifying the code while allowing more intelligent use of the available memory so that they can adapt to the different scenarios across the game. Work on the ultra high resolution screenshot output was completed for the marketing team too. Good for you guys. Happy for your marketing. We're seeing a lot of mentions of better use of memory, which is great. A lot of people immediately suggest people get 32 gigabytes of RAM for this game. I think that's a little overkill. Obviously, it does help to have that much, but I don't think you should by default be starting with 32 gigs. And I'm really, really hoping CIG can continue to push down the memory usage a little bit so that people don't feel so nervous about going with 16 or 24. Jagged lines look ugly and are expensive to not make ugly. Okay. Thank you. Feel like more people are CPU bottlenecked. The servers sure as hell are. The CPU bottleneck is a problem, but also there is a lot of overuse of memory. 32 gigs is the new standard for gaming. Say what? Maybe for like best settings, but I really hope Star Citizen doesn't have 32 gigs as their minimum. That's crazy. If you look at the RAM amount on Steam games, it's like 16, I think, is the most, or not the most, it's like the average. RAM statistics across Steam, I think, had like 16 gigs at like 40% or something. Maybe not that high. 16 gigs, yeah, at 51%. Shooting for 32 gigs would not be a good idea, I think. If you want to try and make this game playable for a large amount of people, you gotta try and get your minimum down to 16, maybe 24. But it sounds like that's what they're doing. They're working on their memory usage. They're getting better at it. Yeah, CPU usage is really bad in this game. That's what Gen 12 is hoping to help with. 32 gigs as a minimum is probably another console generation away, but it doesn't feel as excessive as it used to. It certainly doesn't feel excessive. It definitely helps with Star Citizen and other games, but it's a big ask for a lot of people. 32 gigs is a lot, especially with the new generation coming out. Anyways, VFX programming continued to work on the damage map feature for Salvage. This included supporting the vehicle artist to get the most out of the damage shader, adding support for vehicle Jermaine Dupri, and fixing bugs. The Planet Tech team are in the process of delivering Rastar V1. This is a big one. The internal tool used to build modules and populate planetary environments with outposts, derelicts, and cities. October's tasks included bug fixing usability improvements to better support production requirements. Planet Tech also improved the River Tech for Alpha 318 with several bug fixes and a new spline system to better match complex topology curvatures. Finally, they made fixtures to the Gen 12 rendering of planets ready for Alpha 318. That Rastar thing is a huge deal. They've gone from, let's see, what was that? CitizenCon 2017? 2017, I believe. Yep. they've gone from something interesting. Oh, nice. Good time. Good. We're at like almost the right place. Actually, we're not even close. Up here. So this is where they started with this kind of thing. This isn't Rastar, so don't quote me on this. But this is what they originally were using to build out cities. They would have this sort of minefield looking layout. They'd select different squares based on what they wanted each part of the city to be. This is done in CryEngine. You can see up here, Lumberyard technically, but it is still using CryEngine sort of file names and stuff. They would fill out these blocks. They would tell it to go ahead and save the city layout. Minesweeper, that's right. And it would produce the city, right? It would make this sort of predetermined city based off of this very basic sort of construction palette. But we're now at the point where Rastar looks something more like this. Again, that wasn't Rastar, but it was what they were using to build these things. But now they have these actual in-engine things that they can use. They can flatten the ground. They can snap things around. They can...
Basically, artists create small parts of them.
Okay. It's my turn to talk. They can snap in these things, add in the props, create the interiors, all this stuff super quick, super modularly, and also in a way that they can see it right there in front of them and go down inside of it to experience what it feels like in terms of scale. Crazy great development going from that initial model of how are we going to create cities, how are we going to create bases and outposts, to now having this full 3D sort of interface. And this is the kind of thing that's going to help them create planet locations so much better. Cities, like they said here, cities, outposts, derelicts are the kinds of things that, again, they create these tools for so that eventually another developer can come in, use those tools, and much more quickly fill out a planet. And we've seen the same thing happen with the Planet Creator too. The Planet Creation tool went through several iterations until 2020. I think it was 2020. They finally got to a point where they were able to create multi-biome planets in a very short amount of time and place things on it. Of course, we all go to those planets and we realize how empty they are, which is why they now have Rastar to follow behind it. And you can see that these tools are starting to fall together and speed up the development of these locations. I'm gonna make a supporter, I think, video about this in the beginning of next year, because this is a really big deal, Rastar. And it's actually what's going to eventually lead to us being able to build our own bases. We'll be using some player-facing version of that same system. The studio has had 2 years now, and we are not seeing much from the Canadian studio. What? The Canadian studio is the only ones who seem to be pumping out consistent stuff. What are you talking about? Canadian studio formed in what? December of 2020? So almost 2 years. In that time, they've done the hospitals. They've reworked the derelict system. They got us the Reclaimer derelict. They got us the Caterpillar derelict. They got us the MSR derelict. The 600i derelict. They have... What else did they do? They've done a few different things in Montreal with the locations tool. They also are the ones who creating the location creation tools. I feel like if anything, the Montreal team has proven that they are the ones who kind of have their eye on the ball for their own missions. Oh, you're talking about the Planet Creation Studio. We've also seen plenty from them. We can, hold on a second. So the new caves were from them. I mean, not a big deal, but like the cave opening stuff was from them. They've been creating new looks for Nyx. Sort of new types of, mostly, honestly, the geometry itself is the same in Nyx, so I'm not very impressed with that. Where are all these pyro clips? The river systems, that kind of stuff was all them. Well, actually, no. This was from your boy. Never mind. Don't ignore that. I can't find any of my Pyro clips. I imagine the stuff that they've been working on is mostly in Pyro. That's why we haven't seen it yet. Since they finished that Planet Tech, I think they called it V4, and then they released Microtech. Then they did the Stanton Polish. I think after that, they've just basically been working on Pyro mostly. And I guess the Rastar tool. But let's go to their actual team and see what kind of stuff they have on here. Planet Content, Planet Tech. Oh, okay. So they've been working a lot on the colonialism outposts. Must have been a lot of their stuff. Pyro prep, homesteads, asteroids, foliage, rivers and basins, and terrain modification. So it seems like mostly their stuff has been around the outposts. So I guess they weren't really working on planets as much as they were working on the locations for the other teams. I mean, the rivers aren't a big deal, but they have made some really good progress. Benoit from Turbulent recently interviewed. Benoit's more on the team working for the online services stuff. Persistent entity streaming, server meshing, stuff like that. Is there a resource that lists the unique tech SC is developing? This progress tracker does give you some insight into it, but you'll have to click in and look at all the different things they have listed. That being said, it's very interesting stuff to look through. They've got some decent descriptions for everything, some of the planned schedules for the work, not something that you should base your own estimates on, but you can scroll through this whole thing and just look at all the stuff that they have listed. They mostly do landing zones. Right, they're doing a lot of ruined station stuff right now, I think. Locations team. Dedicated to see infractions committed by players. So they're working on... Oh, this is Live Tools, Montreal. Oh, Montreal doesn't actually have a locations update this time. Just don't hear them get credit for things. I'll pay more attention to the Outpost side of and give them credit for it. Yeah, I think they've probably been working mainly on that stuff. But the hospitals was certainly them. Hospitals and the derelict. That's right. The derelict outposts were them, if I'm not mistaken. How can I look that up? Montreal sandbox team. See what else they have on here. So they've been working on building interiors. So probably the stuff that we've seen in Siege of Orison was partially them. The stuff that we're going to see moving forward with Lorville, with the Lorville rework, is probably a lot of Montreal. They've been working on derelict spaceships. They did hospital interiors. Looks like they were working on Levski interior. And they did also the space station interiors that we got. They kind of redid some of the hospitals, the clinics at space stations to make them more different. And Lorville Cityscape, which we're seeing worked on right now. Yeah, which they're doing right now. So yeah, go check out this panel tomorrow, the Lorville Redux, and it sounds like that's going to be a lot of the Montreal team as well. Aren't they doing stuff beyond Pyro now? They are working a little bit on Nyx, I think. They don't talk about it much though. Think we need to fund me a better rig. I do need a better rig at some point. JG, thank you for another 400 bits. I appreciate that support. You keep us going, my friend. Any news on additional FPS weapons and tools? Not yet, but they did talk about a new flashbang. Which space? I'll catch you later. We've been hearing a lot of environment stuff about Pyro, but I'm more interested in what gameplay systems are going to be in place to make it interesting and different from Stanton. Just not having UEE around doesn't feel like much right now. It would have been nice for them to talk about reputation at CitizenCon, but I actually think they're kind of trying to avoid Pyro at CitizenCon. Maybe quarter one Quarter 1 2023 ISC episodes might be more about Pyro. But yeah, honestly, I don't know if the gameplay will be that much of a change besides the reputation stuff and the focus more on exploration. What specs do I have? If you type an exclamation point kit, you can see my computers. 1080 Ti, i7 9700K, 32 gigabits, 32 gigs of RAM, all that jazz. Let's see, where were we? Okay, lighting. Lighting continued work on Pyro's ruined station through September. They also completed the necessary lighting passes on the updated security post Correa, working alongside the core development teams to push it to final. Lighting also fulfilled requests for footage that will be used in an upcoming event. I wonder what that is. 1080 Ti is a legend. Love that thing. The EU-based locations team focused on Pyro last month, progressing with the art and design of Ruined Station. For those of you who don't know what Ruined Station is, it's the main space station and landing zone in the new Pyro system. And at least as of the concept art, we're not sure if they'll stick to the original design. We really hope they do, because the original design is amazing. Original design is like one of those pictures that draws people into the game. Just looking for it right now. Here it is. So this is the idea behind the station, Ruined Station. This is what a lot of their work is going into in the Pyro system. And if you are a pirate looking for work, you may spend a lot of time here. I believe the station is currently owned by, or not owned, but under the control of Xenothreat. But there are always different gangs trying to control this place. Okay. They also developed several other areas, including the security posts, an upcoming space event, and older landing zones, adding new animations to bring them further to life. Narrative. After putting the finishing touches on their work for IAE 2952, the narrative team progressed with many of the initiatives started last month, including mission work on the Alpha 318 patch and beyond. In addition to the text players see in the contract manager on the screen as objectives, they also work closely with design on the terminals and kiosks that players interact with. It's important, this is from the narrative team, it's important that the screens not only clearly convey their function, but provide verisimilitude for how they are supposed to be used in lore, which can be tricky to balance. The narrative team also assisted with planning future improvements to the Contract Manager Mobiglap app itself to make it a more robust and player-friendly experience. They also began discussing upcoming work to continue improving the new player experience and help players better understand the nuances of playing Star Citizen when they first enter the verse. Super important. Super, super important. New player experience has to be in a better place by the time we get Pyro. Just has to be. When do I think we'll get org functions? We were supposed to before Persistence. So honestly, I don't know at this point. There should be reputation-based consequences in the future, but not sure how far that will go. I think that's going to go pretty far. I think the reputation system will take over, if not very heavily assist the crime stat system to help people know how to react to certain people. And that includes with gangs. Your negative reputation with the gang might not be a crime stat, but it should still negatively impact how people react to you in that system, whether they shoot you on sight or not. You know, maybe you didn't commit a crime against them, but maybe you are friends with their enemy squad. Do I remember them talking about shipjackers in Squadron 42? I do. Pretty sure I have some concept art of them somewhere around here. Maybe that's a no. I thought I did, but I guess not. Nope, I don't. You deleted your org waiting till 2025? Yeah, the org stuff's hard to do right now. Yeah, they're not going to master those self-defense legalities. It's going to be weird. It's going to be rough. Okay, the rest that narrative did really was just release some lore pieces for people to read, so we'll move on. The Interactables team spent time closing out some of their consumables, work for Ruined Station, and worked on various marketing assets that will be in players' hands soon. Not really much to go off of there. More work on Ruined Station. Obviously, a lot of teams are involved in Ruined Station. Let's real quick see what that looks like on the progress tracker. Yeah, okay, so that's just included in the Pyro thing. Pyro system, planet, and setup, I imagine, or Pyro space stations, one or the other. This is included in either of those. As you can see, still plenty of work to go. We're definitely not going to get Pyro before the summer. That's for sure. You want the game in a place where if someone needs a support beacon, you can see how many times they killed the person that went to support them. So those kind of statistics would be very helpful. Honestly, with this new stuff going on with the contract manager, I really, really hope that they're working in the ability that we will eventually have to assign missions to other people. You know, haul this cargo over there. Go get this stuff refined. Go mine this material for me. Protect me from these people. Come save me in this medical emergency. All of that should be one place where we can send missions out to either specific people or publicly. I really hope that's something they're working on with this contract manager, but they won't tell us that for a while, I think. On to QA. QA's recent focus was on persistent entity streaming related testing. In addition, the PU content teams tested all Alpha 318 deliverables, provided continuous assessments for each feature, and one assessment before the official feature review meetings. All of this stuff that's going on with these go-no-go meetings and stuff is kind of things that you hear by the time that this gameplay is in Avocati. It's interesting to see that they're getting very sure about 318's features, but we haven't seen it in Avocati yet. Just going to show how much persistent entity streaming is kind of holding it back. Lately, the medical transport contracts are being used by griefers. We need more tools against that. Definitely. Tech animation. September saw tech animation progress with the face scanning initiatives mentioned in last month's report, which aims to add more heads to the game's gene pool. The initial scan session saw an extra 20 female heads scanned, which are currently being processed by the art teams. Tech animation will then rig and implement the assets into the game. Alongside this, the team explored and refined their methods for implementing geometry caches into the engine and Maya's deformation technology. Okay, so you guys remember I talked about soft body stuff earlier on? We mentioned the idea of breaching charges, of explosives, of ways to open up ships in certain very probably specific predetermined locations. Here is a clip I actually found today while I was looking for some footage that I wanted. This is a clip where somebody literally explained geometry caches and how they are used for deformation in ships 4 years ago. So I don't know what this says about their workflow or how it works or why, or, you know, things that are shelved or things that are not. But I love that you can go back 4 years in this game's development and find word for word that they're still on the path of something that they set out. They don't just say something and then lose it. They don't say something and let it disappear and just never comes to the game. It's just oftentimes it's shelved or it disappears for a while. But here is an instance. Listen to what he says here. And there's no sound. I hate it when it does this. Hold on, let me open it again. Come on, give us sound. The video player on Windows is really annoying. Hold on. Awkward, just real awkward. You set us up for this and now it's not there. Oh, there's no sound at all? I'm gonna have to re-record it. Okay, in that case, back to the history. And I'm on the wrong profile. Guys, I might not be able to get this for you. That's really annoying. Hold on. Hold on. I can do this. Let me get this clip up for you guys, because this is really cool. And now I'm just awkward. Turn the music back on, I'm awkward. Let's see. Listen to some nice Persona 5 jams. Does sound like Persona 5. And... is this it? I think I found it. Yep, found it. Okay. So, like I said, they were talking about geometry caches being used for this sort of soft body deformation stuff. Listen to what this guy has to say about it.
Memory resources that is used there. So in conjunction with that and this method here, we can blend these two together to make very interesting and detailed.
Sorry, here we go.
We have another method for doing this, which is the geocache alembic.
Geocache.
That is a lot.
It's exactly what they were talking. What the heck? No, go up here. There we go. It's exactly what they were talking about back here. Here we go. Geom caches that they were using with Gen 12. And it's also something that they were referencing here when they were talking about deformation stuff. I always just find that really interesting. You can see that they were using this, talking about it all the way back then.
So in conjunction with that and this method here, we can blend these two together to make very interesting and detailed destruction simulations.
It's not often that
I always find that interesting. Sorry, just a little sidetracking, little rant, a little bit of fun for y'all. Anyways, they said that they have some exciting developments with some of their elements in game that will take them to the next level of visual fidelity. We don't really know what that means, but cool. Very interesting and detailed. A screen that splits. I mean, I assume it's more than that. You get a bunch of alerts when you're near Crusader. Yeah, the alert system's not great. You always use Maya deformation tools? I've never even, I mean, I know that I've seen them using Maya, but that's far past me. Moving on, Tech Animation also assisted in the creation and implementation of new enemy types that are being worked on by other feature teams. Cool. Online services. In September, the online services team gathered in Montreal with members flying in from Portugal, New Jersey, and Toronto for a week of planning. They also prepared for Alpha's 3.18 Evocati release, which included bug fixing, service deployment testing, and debugging the new login flow process. They also progressed with several features needed for persistent entity streaming in Alpha 3.18, including how shards handle crash states, transactions, anti-cheat, and account resets. Finally, for online services, they tracked down and fixed a long-standing bug that prevented players from being able to refuel or restock munitions at landing pads. Cool. Live Tools team. The Live Tools team finished integrating the new module dedicated to seeing infractions committed by players. They also worked on design improvements for Hex. I think we saw that on Inside Star Citizen last week when they were talking about the new interface you could use basically to get rid of your fines. for those CS1s and CS2s. Dr. Garely, hello. Welcome to the stream. New enemy types? No, I believe they're talking about these traits up here. You got your berserker enemy types. See? You've got your aggressive enemy types, your cautious enemy types, and you've got your reckless enemy types. Or, sorry, not reckless. Your sentry enemy types. So, I think that's all they mean from that. Tracked down or fixed? We'll never know until we play. Then we'll know. The UI team continued their work on the star map, last month adding new tech to allow them to create interactive holo volumes using the UI system. This provides them extra flexibility without having to rely on the content teams if they want to add a 3D holo volume to the game. As well as being on the standard ship radars, this will make it possible to have large real-time holospheres on capital ships in the future. I think we get one little look at this. Let me see. I think it was on the Squadron 42. This thingy. Yeah, when we see the star map finally for the first time, the new one, I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna absolutely lose it. We've been waiting so long for this. Worst part of the game. It'd be a joy to see it fixed. Is this where that was? No, I thought there was a holosphere in this video. I know there is one. Star Citizen Invictus Week 2201. There is a brief view of one here. Here. She's sort of like fake interacting with one. She has a little... She's like, oh, so interesting. A spaceship. I love that. Oh, wow, spaceship. We're in space. So this is the idea behind the holo table. This is probably not what it will look like because this is just kind of a mock-up for this video. But that's the idea, that you'll have way, way better visual representation of stuff on these larger ships. And you can see it also a little bit in the vertical slice. Again, just sort of a mock-up, not an actual thing. Once here on the cockpit, kind of see it's active in the middle of the room, but like there's nothing actually going on in it because they didn't actually make it at that point. And then you can see a similar idea of it here in this sort of mission briefing where they show these volumetric entities in this sort of map with interactive things. This will probably actually exist for us and we can actually use it at some point. Just so long as it's accompanied by a drop-down menu so we can quickly focus and target specific sites. Yeah. They got a lot of expectations to meet with the star map. I hope they do a good job with it. In preparation for Alpha 3.18, they also closed out the remaining persistent-related UI code that uses loadouts. And VFX. Last month saw the continued prototyping of the Quantum Travel VFX rework with a focus on refractive elements to emphasize the forming of the hull-hugging bubble while a ship's drive spools up. This sounds sick. Quantum Travel look sounds like it's going to be so cool. We still don't really know much functionally speaking about it. Hell, by the time my video for this monthly report comes out, maybe we'll know more with the need for multiple speeds panel at CitizenCon, but we don't know if they're going to touch on quantum travel here. I think they will. I hope they will, but there's no guarantee. But it's getting a complete rework. It sounds like it will have some form of manual control. It will have a much more segmented function in terms of spooling and accelerating, preparing, boosting, all these different things. So I do hope we hear about it tomorrow. Salvaging effects also continued with visual balancing to allow the best possible read to help players understand what's happening throughout the hull stripping gameplay loop. A new vehicle had its VFX pass continued, and 2 other vehicles entered VFX production after the completion of their pre-production phase. A lot of unannounced vehicles going on right now. And finally, various bugs and tweaks were made to the new derelict locations, as well as some miscellaneous fixes for other areas of the game. And that is your September monthly report. That is a look in on the new features and ships that have been in development over the last month or so. In terms of ships, plenty going on. Corsair, Vulture, Argo SRV, Hull C, all seeing significant work. Aegis Hammerhead getting a lot of work in resource management. Unannounced vehicles and ships going on. But in terms of features, lots of AI work. Some very interesting developments in terms of missions. Obviously, narrative is getting very much more involved in missions. And we're hearing about a new mission archetype, which is great. Contract Manager is lovely that it's getting worked on. The Mobiglass is something that has been stagnated for a long time, along with the star map. Both of those things, big UI functions that are getting worked on. Cargo Refactor was mentioned. That's a big highlight. It's good to see the Cargo Refactor in the monthly reports. That's good confirmation that they're a little more confident about it. Rastar V1 was a big highlight, knowing that on top of their planetary creation journey that they've taken to get much, much better at that, they also now have the actual points of interest in tools or the actual points of interest in locations also getting a little bit of a speed up with this tool. So that's good. There are some pretty significant updates here. It's not super juicy, but it's a good monthly report. I think a lot of the work right now is going into 3.18, into CitizenCon and upcoming events. But man, there's still a lot moving. There's always a lot moving, and I can't wait till we actually start to see it. That's really my only problem with the monthly reports now, because we are seeing so much good development going into them, and they've been a great reliable source of like what's being worked on. My only complaint now is that we're still not really seeing this stuff being talked about transfer into the game that quickly. I still feel like I read about something in here, and by the time it makes it into the game, I've already forgotten about it. I would love if we were reading more of the stuff in monthly reports and seeing more of it coming into the game within the next 2 quarters after that, you know? Not really a big complaint, but it'd be cool to see. You guessing your question is a secret that you're not even willing to comment on. I missed your question. Not ignoring you. It'd be amazing if you could see a battle that your org is doing, but see it on your mobile phone via a star map. That would be pretty crazy. You watched a cool video on Reddit that saw someone quantum by the planet. Looked like a falling star. It was really cool. It is cool that you can see people in quantum travel if you're looking in the right spot. You always like the external QT animations in the Freelancer commercial. Those did look pretty cool. What's my predictions for what ships we'll see at SitCon and IAE? You're personally hoping that we might finally get a tease at some uglies from some no-name manufacturers. I don't know. I don't really have any predictions in terms of ships. I hope we see something small for cargo reasons, but you know, who knows? That would be cool. Besides that, I don't think there's really anything I'm particularly interested in seeing or I think will be super important to them. I do hope we hear about some of the more interesting industrial ships though. Maybe something like a Vulcan or a Crucible or something like that. What do I think or hope is announced tomorrow? Realistically, not pure hopium. I think I only hope for everything that they've talked about here. I'm not hoping for anything extra to be announced besides what they've said are on the panels. Realistically, if they give us a good amount of insight into these things, I think this will be one of the best CitizenCons ever. Just in terms of promising gameplay actually getting a chance to shine. I think this is all very important stuff. Avenger 1, my man. How you doing, dude? You out there killing people today? You knocking people out of the sky? A space food truck? Maybe a space food truck. The alien bomber, the one from last year, the concept thingy. Yeah, that's something that they might want to show off at this point. Do I think they'll do anything special for 10 years? I don't think so. Maybe, but I don't think so. Hunt, did you want to ask your question again that I didn't get to do? Looks like I missed a few questions up there. How do so many players right after a wipe have a fleet manager full of all the biggest and best ships? Those are probably people who own those ships. I think the last time we had a wipe, there was a glitch or something that allowed people to get a lot of money, so they just bought a bunch of ships, I believe. That's mainly what happened with 317. Whatever happened to real-time cloth and clothing simulation? They were showing it off years ago. Haven't seen much of it in game. There's some stuff in the pyro demos, but other than that, some of it is at Orison. They've got that cape on one of the armor sets. I don't think it's very reactive, but yeah, it seems like the cloth simulation isn't something that they've focused on that much. Probably again because of rendering problems, networking problems, and stuff like that. It's just not something that they wanted to force into the game if it wasn't going to make a big difference yet. Vertical slice as a hollow sphere. Yeah, we checked that out. All right, I think I got all those. Did you see the Squadron 42 video leak? Nah, I'm avoiding that. I'm trying to avoid as many Squadron 42 leaks as I can. Just at work watching? Ah, Avenger. How's work treating you, dude? Is it pretty crazy? You guys have a lot of work to do considering... Wait, actually. Now I need to remember where you're at. I know what you do, but I don't know where you're at. Not as hot, so maybe things aren't as crazy for you guys. How's work treating you though, dude? There was a press release where they mentioned they would showcase the new community hub at CitizenCon. That'll be cool. Hopefully it's an actual good community hub that people feel like they can go to for like central information. A manufacturing ship would be an interesting thing for them to show. I could see it being something from Consolidated Outlands as well, using a slimmed down version of the Pioneer's building manufacturing process. That'd be a lot. Maybe a little crafting ship would be cool, yeah. You'd love a Connie-sized alien ship, not a drop ship. Something Banu would be nice. Is New Deal coming back tomorrow for CitizenCon? Mr. New Deal. I forgot about that, Abyss. Good reminder. I don't know. I wasn't planning on it, but maybe. We'll see. Laid Back Geek. Been watching you for circa a year YouTube, but never managed to get onto a stream. Enjoy your work. Keep it up. Thanks for following. Thanks for checking out the stream. I love a laid back geek. My favorite kind of geek. Welcome. Also, thanks for watching the content. I'm glad you like it. Good video, gives you tons of hope. It sounds like it had to do with that other visual teaser we got. This thing sounds like it was kind of similar in style and function to this, as sort of like a, hey, here's what's going on. Here's what this will kind of look like in different areas and doing different things. You don't think every settlement functionality needs to be packed into ship shape? Oh, for where the game is right now? Knock on wood, good calls today, as in no sad calls, just happy calls. My brain is on my baby girl, the Polaris. What is its status? I've got nothing but bad news for you on that one, Avenger, sorry. I don't think that there's gonna be much to go off of when it comes to the Polaris anytime soon. Because it's not needed for the first Squadron 42, you know? They could just take their sweet old time with that one. But hopefully we hear some news about it within the next year or two. I don't know. You also thought that refineries should rather be something you can maybe put down as a container. Portable refineries and stuff would be cool. Things like that you can get on No Man's Sky. Faces of the actors are way better now. That's good. Sometimes the faces looked a little weird. Yeah, the coil is a big part of Squadron 42. It was a hype up thing, no real content. Yeah, that's that's kind of the gist of what I'm hearing. Just a visual update. You only purchase a starter ship and play in the live build. If you go back and also buy Squadron 42, do you get anything extra than just the campaign that you can bring to the live build? I don't think so. I don't believe Squadron 42 gives you any extras in the PU. Lelu Dallas Plays. 3 months on the sub club, coming back to catch a live stream. Thanks for dropping by, my friend. Appreciate you and your support. Thank you. The Polaris reconcept is going to be shown soon. John Crew mentioned something on the ship QA in regards to showing it at a secret event. Huh. Okay. A small refueling ship would be nice. I say the Vulcan. Any thoughts on if CIG will integrate the hygiene system after 4.0's launch? Well, I think it will certainly come after the 4.0's launch, but I don't know how far after. I think it's still a ways away for sure. Remember, folks, if you'd like to get in on these raffles, !join will help you get some tickets, some points for the tickets rather, and I will be giving away that Aurora game package tomorrow on the stream when we start. So make sure to come over to that CitizenCon stream coming up. !SitCon will give you a invite link to that if you'd like a little reminder. For some reason that's not working on YouTube, so I'll just go ahead and throw that link over to you guys. If you're on YouTube and you want to make sure to hit the stream tomorrow, follow that link. Yo, Depa, $20 super chat. Depa is single freaking Depa is making a huge difference in this week's streams. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it all. It's been awesome. Oh yeah, you get badges for Squadron. There's that. Just give you forest fires and chainsaws so you can roleplay as yourself. Who doesn't like to be themselves but in space? That's why I'm a space tomato. And are you going to be late to the stream? No problem. No problem. We were actually wondering who was going to be available for that one. We'll have to talk about it in the moderator channel on Discord just to see who will be around for the stream tomorrow, who's going to be in the watch party in Discord, and all that jazz. What is something there's no plan for currently? For example, there is a plan for the Pioneer and base building. I can't think of anything they haven't covered. They have mentioned it, but they haven't really laid out any sort of substantial plan for how players will own or run space stations. But it is something that they've planned for, so that doesn't really count. Deforming land hasn't really been a thing that's planned. What else? Changing the appearance of your character after the fact? No, that's not true. You can get tattoos, change your hair, change your leg limbs and stuff. I don't know. They've kind of just tried to do everything, huh? Building stuff in space they haven't talked about, yeah. They haven't talked about crafting very much. That's a good point. Make a set of tomato armor. All I need is just a pretty red. Just let me put on a pretty red, CIG. We'll call it Tomat Red. You'd be there, but your org is doing its own watch party. Go spend some time with your org. That's the best way to watch it, with your friends. You guys remember this little bit? Remember how we were supposed to get multiple of these every quarter so that we could understand what the heck was going on with Squadron 42? And then it was literally just one video and then they stopped doing it. This was... Let me see if I can find that video. Here we go. They just do a long preview of it here. It just dropped off the map. Very annoying. That like, And a pastel pink for Mrs. Tomato. Of course. The Cygnus looks like it can bore holes in the planet. It would be nice to see that come into the game so you could create your own mines for ore and rare gems. That'd be awesome. I have no idea how crazy they plan on going with the mining. You know what really dropped off the map is the Aaron Halo belt. The gates for that. We got like one single teaser of that in ISC like 2 or 3 years ago, and then nothing ever again after that. Like, we have no idea what's going on with the Aaron Halo belt gates. I think I have a picture of it here somewhere. In this folder, in my handy dandy folder. Here we go. These. This was the one time we got to see what they were doing with it in engine, and then it was just nothing else. But this is supposed to be giant mechanical gates owned by ArcCorp that separate the Aaron Halo belt, which is a giant asteroid belt in the Stanton system between the orbits of Hurston and ArcCorp, essentially creating a clear path through the asteroid belt for people to travel through. But we just don't know where it is or what's going on with it yet. Will they finally have a keyboard shortcut to take off your helmet? Yes. Sounds like, I think I was watching the actor featured team Star Citizen Live. I was actually listening to it last night. Came out in March, I think, and they did confirm that yes, they want to have a key binding button where you can take your helmet on and off very quickly as an action rather than having to fumble it into your inventory, which is really nice. They haven't talked about base mining, you're right. They hinted at it a little bit with the recent ISC when they mentioned the refining and mining modules for bases, but nothing really besides that. Trade lanes as well, they haven't talked about, yeah. I hope there's some kind of gamified way for people to be encouraged to stay in trade lanes for faster trade or more economic trade. The asteroids matter more than the gates. You're absolutely right about that. There is a keybind to remove helmet right now. I don't understand. Oh, maybe they added it in. But earlier this year in Star Citizen Live, they mentioned that they wanted to make sure that it was a very easy process. That they just had a key that was linked to the action rather than a key that was linked to... Like, they wanted a key that was relegated to take off helmet, not move action or anything like that. Use right click to equip and unequip your helmet right now. Yeah, on the personal inner thought system action wheel, you can actually also set it as a favorite. So if you go into the personal inner thoughts section and you go to player actions, I believe, eventually you can find equip helmet and then you can save that as a favorite. So it's really easy to do. You can even add an extra key binding for yourself for it. Nothing about the gates on the progress tracker, no. There's a keybind to drop expansion. Oh, there's a keybind to drop items in your hands too. Both are very useful, but unbound by default. Okay. So that's probably what they want to do, is make one that's actually bound by default so that players know immediately how to do it. Stealth gameplay expansion to pick up from last year's demo would be good. They did talk a little bit about that. Towards the beginning of this monthly report we were going over, they talked up here in AI features and tech about audio perception, how your sounds will affect who can hear you. They talked about being able to throw on, disguises to sneak past AI NPCs. So a lot of the gameplay that was in the demo both last year and in 2019, that kind of stuff is being discussed here in the monthly reports finally, so it's somewhere. Tony Z hinted at trade lanes last Citizens Con. Tony hints at a lot of stuff. I have no disrespect to the man, but I'd like to see some of that stuff in game soon. They have not given a release date for 3.18 yet. Not quite. There was mention of hydroponics and refineries for player-made settlements a while back. Yeah. Remember that. They talked about all kinds of things when they were talking about that. Even farming was in that conversation. I think I might have that on here. Let's see. Might be here in... Dude! Chill. We've heard you. We know. We get it. Let me just look up farming. Here we go. This was something they mentioned when they were talking about bases, that they were just working on the initial versions of farming, how plants would look over time as they were growing. But like you said, there was some other stuff. They they allowed us to look at, they showed us. Specifically, this stuff was very interesting because these videos were showing the interaction points they would have on these modules that came with your outposts. So specific places where you would be able to come in and actually do things to the buildings in the game. And I don't know if we had the ISC episodes from the newest one saved. Let's see. Perhaps. Oh, sorry. I'm on the wrong hard drive. Jeez, there's so many files. So many files. So if you look here, this has very similar markings. All of the yellow stuff is interactable. So you got a ladder over here, you got a kiosk over there, another ladder up here, and then you clearly have these sort of kiosks here, whether they're control panels for power and stuff or something for controls. You can tell that they have interactive points already blocked out for these sort of refinery. On the left is refinery and on the right is a mining module. So when it comes to the things we were talking about earlier, base building being a thing and Rastar eventually turning into that, these are the sorts of things that are kind of the predecessors to all that. I'd love to know more about data running as well, Shinobi. I really would. The voice going in and out, kind of like listening to a fly buzzing around the further. It's closer and further to the mic. Yeah, Imam's excited for SitCon, obviously. Has Tony Z said anything recently? Not really. Been mostly quiet. Last time he spoke about stuff was last summer about Quantum, and at that point he wanted some Quantum stuff to be in by the end of the year. That didn't happen, and we had no follow-up about it whatsoever. Nobody told us anything until 3.16 dropped, and we finally learned that it was delayed for a couple of components. But unfortunately, even though they did tell us that the Quantum system was going to see more work every patch after that first initial addition to the game, we haven't really seen any other updates on it. So who knows? But that's why I say, like, I love what Tony Z talks about, but it just really does not come to fruition on the timescales that are provided. So that's for bases, not necessarily base building, but it's for the bases that we'll be encountering in 4.0 and beyond. Tomorrow after SitCon, Imam will bust open your window and scream at the hum of his slugs. He'll be like, yes, SitCon! Then you also know he follows the development. Hey, Rotag, I'm sorry I missed your sub. Subbing up with that Prime. Thank you so much, I appreciate you. Thanks for the support, my friend. I hope you enjoyed this stream. I hope everybody enjoyed this stream. I enjoyed it. I like monthly report streams. These ones are real nice. We get to just chill, sit back, talk about what's coming up soon. I still think the monthly reports are the most exciting thing that comes out of this project. It's kind of a bummer because you'd expect that to be the game itself, but we're still just not at that point, you know? 2022 is still not necessarily the year to push this game forward. It's a good year, I think. I think in terms of tech development itself, we've made some really good progress, but in terms of the game actually changing in major ways, getting the game to be the more exciting bit, for me personally, we're still not there. I hope it's next year. I do. There's a lot of stuff that could be coming together next year, and we can even see that from the CitizenCon panels, but we really only know it's actually there once it's there. We do have 3 commodities being controlled by Quantum, and a few others have T0 quantum control. Right, so that was the update that was planned for the end of last year, but was then delayed without us learning anything. My big issue is that we were supposed to get updates every patch after that was added, after those 3 commodities were added, and we simply haven't. You agree with Salty Mike in regard to Tony Z? It feels like a lot of talk. It's hard to think differently. Well, I mean, it is a lot of talk. It's not in the game yet. It's kind of like talking all about Pyro, but if Pyro never makes it into the game, it's not that reliable. So once Quantum really starts to make a difference in your everyday life in the verse, then we can start to talk about how it's real. But until then, you know, out of sight, out of mind for a lot of people. (2023 and 24 probably the same as they work on meshing, but a lot of these game systems they've been working on for a while, from Gen 12 to power management to persistence. These are all things that we haven't had before, and I do think that they'll make a difference to the game next year. They will be working on server meshing, and that'll obviously still slow them down for different stuff, but there are some legitimate game systems that are going to make big differences. Resource management being, I think, the most major one. We've never had a change to this game quite like resource management is going to change multi-crew gameplay. And unfortunately, it probably will be limited to a select number of ships, which is going to likely be a damper on the hype for it. Probability volumes are in-game via service beacons. I don't think they are. Maybe they are. Oh yeah, the service beacons thing was, yeah, they changed that up. But they mentioned that they wanted to do those missions. What were they? Environmental missions, which were supposed to be like the real introduction to the probability volumes, implementation of new missions and scenarios. The missions that will appear will be based on probability volumes that the player is currently in. But then they delayed it. I was really excited to see this start happening. So I can't wait until that's in. But again, the probability volume stuff that's currently going on is still not really making that big a difference to people. When do I think dynamic meshing hits live? 2025 maybe. Maybe late 2024, but I doubt it. After 3.18 is 4.0 or 3.19. I think it'll be 4.0. They might just do 3.19 if they can get a patch out in between those two. I guess at the end of March, they might want to do 3.19. So we'll see. Yeah, Steven, you can already set a key binding to take your helmet off. The approach that CIG is talking about is offering that to people already. And not necessarily a key binding just to put your helmet into your inventory, but rather a key binding that takes your helmet off but doesn't put it away. They want you to be able to take it off and put it under your arm, or put it on a clip, or just have it at arm's reach, rather than saying, okay, you got to put it in your backpack now. You have to get into your backpack and take it out, that kind of thing. Sell each of us a small hollowed out asteroid like Grimhex to use for base building. That'd be cool. Maybe start us out on planets first though, huh? Sounds like Bounty Hunter V2 is progressing with the restraints going on. Yeah, the restraints, the services, the new visor stuff. What do I think the first implementation of meshing will be? 100 players Stanton, 100 players or Pyro 100 players per planet system. I think they'll probably do a server per planetary system. I think that'd be a good goal to shoot for, but there's no knowing. I don't know. Maybe they'll want to only do one per system as a whole. That's a good question. I have no clue. But listen, folks, that about wraps up the stream for today for me. We got that monthly report in the review. And really, I just wanted to get in and do this one real quick instead of waiting until Monday, because we're going to have so much stuff to talk about on CitizenCon on Monday, guys. We're going to have a lot to review. So I wanted to make sure to have this all done so that we could get to that next week and just talk a whole bunch about CitizenCon stuff all throughout next week. So I hope you enjoyed this review of the monthly report. I do them every month. If you like getting in on the development of this game, learning the latest news, or just asking questions and talking about development, make sure to subscribe to the channel, follow on Twitch. Stay tuned on Mondays at, 2 p.m. UTC. That's when I do these generally. And even feel free to drop by other streams. I do a lot of just kind of talking about development streams, looking at some of the features being developed, and some of the stuff that's been going on lately. So if you're into that stuff, this is one of the best channels to find it at, if I do say so myself. And if you want to check out CitizenCon, remember to come and join me tomorrow. I'll be going live 2 hours before to talk about what might be coming up. We'll be hosting a couple of giveaways. We'll be doing a couple of different little games and contests and all that jazz. So make sure to show up for that one. And should be pretty entertaining. And remember to get in on my Aegis Saber giveaway. That one's ending in just a few hours. I'll be announcing the winner tomorrow. It'll be an Aegis Saber and in red with a game package with LTI. It's all the goods. Make sure to get in on that on Gleam. And a happy 10th anniversary for Star Citizen. Gosh. Props to you guys who have been here for all 10 years. Jeez. That's a biggie. Anyways, folks, I appreciate you all being here. It's been a lot of fun. My lurkers, my friends, my active enjoyers, everybody who has been here, who has chatted, who has talked, who has supported. Oh my gosh, Depa, you were so helpful today. Thank you so much for all that support. Seriously meant a lot. And to everybody else, just being here and watching is really enough. I hope you got as much out of this as I did. I hope you enjoyed the stream. I hope you see you tomorrow. And if I don't, have a great weekend. We'll go ahead and review all CitizenCon stuff tomorrow or next week and get hyped together. Either way, 07's my friends. Have a good one, and I'll see you later.